Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
He's going to load up and launch down the field and drop it in for Kelly. Down the sideline for a touchdown. Oh, Mari Kelly, a big shot. Second punt for Brendan.
Blocked. Got in there and a beat. D'Angelo Pons is going to score. Touchdown Hoosiers.
Yeah, that's caught there. That's Omari Evans to the 10, and Omari Evans into the end zone. 59 yards. But the throttle down, and they keep it down, and they put up 58 against their in-state rival.
2 wide each way. Underwood out of the gun. Marshall, the running back right. Takes the wayside snap. 4-man twisting rush. Underwood under pressure. Ball's loose. It's around, and finally was it picked up. Deshaun Singleton was in the area. Beanbags on the turf. They stripped it. Black shirts get it done and get the takeaway. Snap to Raiola. Rolls right. Looks downfield to the numbers. Raiola plants. Launches. Far right side of the end zone. Jump ball. Was it caught? Was it caught?
Unreal.
Touchdown! Huskers! Jakari Barty on a prayer. 52 yards.
It wasn't good enough, and then obviously the run game for them. 2 plays in the first half, but just too many big plays to win a football game like that. So we battled. Appreciate the effort of the guys, but it wasn't good enough.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you? Is that a loaded question?
No, we're good. Steelers found a way to win. Dodgers magic numbers down to 3-2. I liked Caleb Williams yesterday.
He looked good. Looked like the Caleb Williams we thought we were getting.
My jaw's still wide dropped open over Indiana, Illinois.
Oh, my goodness.
And what else? I think that's about it.
One of our mutuals texted us, and I don't think either of us replied. I just wasn't in the mood. But they did say, hey, guys, could be worse. We could be Illinois fans today.
Wait, who said that?
TK did.
Oh. Yeah, I don't. So
it was a tough day.
So my phone wasn't too active for the most part.
That's good.
Well, I just think people know how. Like I'm not gonna ever be too high or too low, right? I'm just gonna kind of go back to the drawing board in terms of what I think they want to do, what I think we need to do, and kind of where I think we're at. A couple of things surprised me. I guess I've thought, I didn't realize it seemed like Michigan had more than 391 total yards. So that because they had the ball for so long, it seemed like in the second half, the 16-play drive.
Yeah, the kind of backbreaker in the fourth quarter
was crazy.
That was really their only real drive
Sustained
of the game.
Drive,
though.
Yeah, and they did it when it mattered most.
Absolutely,
so that was kind of, I guess, it caught me off guard a little bit. Because you're watching it real time, obviously, and you're having conversations. And all I kept thinking was, how many third down conversions in a row is that?
I think they got on that drive. I think they got 4.
So, and I know they finished 4 of 12 on third down.
So it would have been 3 on that drive because they were 1 for 8 going in,
and 0 for 6 to start.
Mm-hmm.
So they got in a little bit of a rhythm there, and Ben figured it out for me like real time. It was they were averaging just a little over 8 yards per third down attempt.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of third and longs.
So Nebraska was winning on first down, which I don't know. If you go back and I thought I got to give credit to a lot of it has been. But the pregame, I think, was spot on in terms of what had to go right, what the keys were. Like it was a fascinating because we're really trying to gear that pregame now into football, like the breakdown, the matchup, right? It used to be a lot of other things, but
a little less like storytelling, more like football-y stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we talked about a lot, and I kept saying, I think one of my keys with Jess too was Nebraska's going to have plenty of opportunities for some havoc plays.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to take advantage of it. You got to get guys to the ground.
Yeah.
So that part I was surprised at the inefficiency in getting guys to the ground, but
sure.
I'm not surprised at kind of how it looked. We talked about kind of the feast or famine, like some things that I didn't like, the empty without. So there was a really nice back and forth going between the set, when Michigan would bring pressure, and then when they decided not to. Like they just started winning on the pass rush.
Yeah.
So then they could sit and play coverage, right? They would sit on some of those short routes. So like the back and forth there is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, that's just football, right? That's our guys and your guys. And so it's kind of weird. I enjoy watching that back and forth.
Sure.
I just felt like it was a little of everything. Sometimes I wanted the ball out quicker. Sometimes I wanted him to climb the pocket. Sometimes I'm thinking that's you're just overwhelmed on the edges.
Sure.
And then I don't know which part, because I'm not done. I'm going to go back today. I got to do a deal with Sports Nightly tonight. How many more times I want him to run the ball? Because I think the thing that we're not talking about enough is Nebraska has ran the ball the third fewest amount of times in the Big Ten so far.
So
the third fewest.
Yeah, I know Dylan leads in both attempts and completions at this point after this game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where you have to. This is where coaching is going to really matter because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So there's some things you got to really continue to accentuate. There's some things you're going to have to tweak, but I think the one thing that has to change the fastest is I don't think you can be in the bottom three of rushing attempts because that's not who you want it to be. Now, you may have looked up, and I don't know this, right? We're trying to find solutions here. I don't know if Nebraska's looked up and thought to themselves, man, the strength of our team is blank. Because I think they thought it was going to be up front. I thought it was going to be up front, and it still very well may be.
I think guard, center, guard, it's still
very well
played well.
I think they're going to have to. So one thing I do know they got to do is I think they got to settle in. However you're going to let this thing rip, let it rip, and let feelings be what they may, right? You've tried the whole experiment thing, and so whatever you settle in, do that.
Yeah.
And then I think you have to run the ball more because you're right at about 43%, and there's only two teams lower than you, and that's Purdue and Maryland. Now, I don't know do what you will with Maryland. They're 4-0. Yeah. And they only run the ball 4 out of 10 times.
First three weren't exactly juggernauts, and I don't know what to do with Wisconsin. But
boy, we were watching that real time. That's something else.
Can I ask a question about that though?
You can ask me anything you want.
Because
888-638-4876.
We are available.
888-638-4876. Welcome our listeners in the stream.
So here's my question: is how much of that, because Coach Rhule brought this up to the opposite a couple times.
In the presser?
Yeah, with the RPOs. He goes, hey, sometimes you have an RPO and you run it a couple times in a row and you go, I would have liked to pass it one of those, but he's making the right read. How many of the passing attempts are RPO?
I have to count it. I have to count it because sometimes –
because that was the first thing I wondered when we are talking about
there's a handful of things I want to go back and do where I want to count actual plus pressures from Michigan because I don't think it was near as many as –
especially in the second half. It was bad early.
I thought was going to go in.
Yeah.
And then two, the check with me is where I think running was kind of the thing. Because I did felt like Nebraska could win outside the number. Their wide receivers are pretty good.
They did have some chunk plays early on the ground.
So the conundrum of it is those wideouts are pretty good.
Yeah.
And there were some times where I was thinking, I can't remember when, but I was thinking take some shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I wanted them to internally.
Well,
so I can't go back and say,
yeah,
oh man, you should have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know what I was thinking real time. Because they're pretty good out there.
Well, and you saw on one of them, you got the pass interference.
Yeah.
On Hunter. Then when you did take a shot, they didn't take a ton of them.
But you know what was super evident. I don't know how you feel about this.
Okay. I'll say we really haven't talked about the game
at all.
Yeah.
We
saved it.
So I don't know how you felt about this. I felt like Michigan's physicality on the back end was spectacular.
So like in the secondary?
Man, they brought some serious drama.
And they tackled.
Very well.
They tackled really well.
Very well.
Aggressively, too. It wasn't not just like ankle tackling. Like, they hit guys.
Yeah.
They hit some guys. Barney got the brunt end of it a couple times, but good thing he's the toughest guy on the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's relentless. But, so I talked to a lot of, obviously I'm talking to a lot of guys, and almost, I wouldn't say 100%, but almost to a man. The question comes up. People don't want to hear it, but unfortunately, it's how players and coaches have to look at it. I always say tactical versus technical. Basically, it's scheme versus execution.
Yep.
And there's always some deal in the middle, right? You have a plan, and then if you execute it, it's supposed to look like this. And tactically, I didn't have a ton of problems. Now we'd need film. I think Nebraska did box a little bit more than spill, which was interesting because when you box and you keep it inside, you're expecting your guys to come in and fit inside the run game as downhill run hitters. Now maybe they wanted to box a lot of Michigan schemes, right? The counter and the little misdirection. So I don't know. I have to ask.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so you can fix that. The other thing is, and Coach Butler talked about this in week 1. He said, this is how we want to be. This is how we're going to try to call the game. We'll have to look and see where we're at with it and then adjust accordingly. Whether it's me, how I call the game, whether it's
the players
who were playing in the game.
Yeah.
So again, you got to be able to eat the meat and spit out the bones. So I don't know I don't think you want to scrap heap, but I do think you have to tweak within the confines of how you want to play. Because even guys, and I know he gives people a hard time sometimes on social media, but he doesn't when he's just talking football, he doesn't bother me at all. I even look at a guy like Brian Wilson, right? He had an interesting tweet during the game because it wasn't during the game, it might have been after, and it didn't. And I kind of was with it, right? He said, we're getting shown what it's like to have developed high-level O-line, D-line, and running backs. The difference, we don't have a lot of NFL caliber guys on the O-line, D-line, running back room right now. Actually, I like the scheme of Nebraska offensively and defensively today. See, nobody wants to hear that. But I think I'm kind of vibing with this. Right? You got to continue to develop. You have to continue to get better. But you do have to adjust some things, but I can see especially defensively, I can see what they want to do. So, they've got some decisions to make where if you want to gap guys out, do you know what I mean when I say if you want to go gap to gap downhill and just no vertical run seams, right? You just can't have immediate vertical run seams. You have to be pot committed. And so I think that's the way they want to play.
And that's on the second and third level, especially.
Exactly.
So here's the thing
that it's not just a D-line thing. I just hate
so
I got to get over it
because
I just don't think people know what they're talking about. So and it's okay. Right, I'm not going to be like, well, it's this. Well, we're to this, and we're. I'm not going to get in them. I'm not going to try to fix everybody's thought process. I'm just simply going to say, I think this is what Nebraska's trying to do, and this is why they're doing it.
So when I went back in my second rewatch because I I know the narratives about what the lines were, right? So I literally was just watching how often did, on the defensive side for Nebraska, how often did they get pushed off the ball? How often did Michigan reset the line of scrimmage versus how often did Nebraska either stay neutral or reset the line of scrimmage themselves? I actually thought the D-line held up pretty well. I did. I personally thought they held up pretty well. Now, they didn't make a ton of plays, which is a different thing, right? Neutral versus positive. And Coach Rhule brought that up on the long scramble, or not the long design quarterback run by Underwood, where he's like, hey, the way they cleared it out, that was a defensive lineman just has to make a play.
So, and it's 4-on-5.
Yeah. So it's hard.
I broke that. That was so. Listen, Michigan with the late emptying of the backfield with motion.
Yeah. So the linebacker has to clear out.
He widened.
Yeah.
Nebraska wanted to stay +1 outside the hashes. So their safeties held the hash.
And there's nobody in the middle of the field.
There's nobody in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So just
a D lineman has to win, otherwise that happens.
You're 5 for 5 plus the quarterback. So, I mean, schematically, now you can man free that deal and keep a safety in the middle of the field and man on the other side without any help over the top.
Yeah.
And keep +1 in the middle of the field. You can tweak that.
Yeah.
But that's a good play call. I mean, we scored on QB trap against Florida, exact same concept. Except we didn't trap it.
Yeah.
They didn't trap it. We trapped it.
Yeah.
I mean, T. Frazier bangs his head on the goalpost, right? That's just it's just counting numbers in the box. So when the real dilemma is not so much along the movement up front with the D-line, it's how you want to fit on the back end, right? I talked about man versus quarters and zone and having eyes in the backfield. Like that's the thing that, do you want to scrap the way you play or do you just want to get better at what you do? That's what the bye week is for.
The thing that I would have, if we want to talk about technical, like things that tactical things that schematically I maybe would have done a little differently. And this is because I personally right now, I don't have a ton of faith in the guys that they've been playing to fit the run quickly enough. Like I feel like those guys are late a lot, or, like there was a couple plays where it felt like the linebackers were playing peekaboo. And that kind of, so it's interesting because we have this conversation. I was pulling my hair out. Sometimes you have, especially defensively, when things are happening fast, sometimes you have to make the play without making the play. And sometimes making the play is occupying a blocker. Where if you're playing a puller, going around isn't going to be the best bet. So you have to occupy him so your guy can make a play.
Sometimes you have to go through.
That's the trust, right?
To keep him from getting to the second level. And it doesn't look like much, and we're really quick to want to. Oh, it was his. Actually, I mean, stopping the run is a collaborative effort.
Yeah,
and you stop the run with toughness, not with scheme.
And part of that toughness is taking on a blocker when you're not going to make the tackle.
You got to just be unselfish, and there's no other way. Like half man means half man. I mean. If I'm supposed to split the outer shoulder pads, and I got to split that thing.
Yeah.
If I want to take on the inner half, I got to take on the inner half.
Because that's where the leverage is created, right? So your guy knows, the guy behind you knows where to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's an indecisiveness against talented people
kills you.
Will get you cooked.
I mean, I think it was on the 75-yard run by Haynes. I think it was that one. It was either that or the 54-yard run by Marshall. But I think it was the 75-yarder by Haynes. There was a play, and we texted about it a little bit in game, where Shavers, I think, made the wrong decision, but he went fast.
So I have to. I talked about that on the news. I have to ask him.
Okay.
Right? Did he want to box that or did he want to spill it? Because if he wants to spill it, he's got to come inside.
Yeah. If he's trying to box it, he made the right decision.
If he wanted to box it,
he did the right thing.
He did the right thing.
But either way, right, is he did it fast, so the guys behind him had an opportunity to make the play.
You had a free runner hitter.
Yeah, you had an opportunity to make the play, and that guy didn't get downhill fast enough.
I think it was more the angle.
It seemed like, I don't know if it was angle, I don't know if it was late. He seemed hesitant.
Well, Okay, so that's where we have to be careful.
Okay.
Okay, and this is not anybody's fault because I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's boxing or spill. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shavers wants to spill that thing. I don't know which shoulder he's supposed to use. I do know he ducked inside, took a little sheep, right, and Buford's got to come off of that. I don't know if he wanted him to work back vertical. I didn't know if he wanted him to restrict the hole, but I know you give a really good back a two-way go.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you don't want to do.
So the question
he had it's very similar to what Cincy did in the first series when Deshaun got dead-legged, right?
Yeah.
So schematically, you're talking about literally a gap. A gap. Not a ton.
Yeah.
But a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Not a ton, but a lot. So you give a guy a two-way go downhill on a safety, and it's just really easy to point fingers and say that guy, but you stop that play collectively.
Sure.
So I don't want to absolve or blame because I'm not sure on the box versus spill. So but if you're spilling that, then Buford's got to be really tight off of the outside hip of that backer fitting to restrict that gap. Now, how much space was created by Shavers dipping that far inside?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's for them. That's a coaching point for them to negotiate.
Because what I saw was
what I don't think it had to do. And this is what everybody sees. Well, why did Nebraska stunt to begin with? Well, the
stunt worked.
The stunt worked.
Yeah, the stunt worked.
Like you have because how it's supposed to fit is you open up, you have a clean run through for Shavers. He occupies or takes on, you fit right behind it.
Yeah.
Like that's just defense.
Yeah, everything worked until the fit right behind it.
So, like, I don't know what to tell you there in terms of do they need to do that? Do they want to do that? You got to ask Coach Butler that. I'm just telling you why the play looked the way that it did. But I don't love the summations, but I'm not trying to pick at all that because I don't expect sometimes – when you're coaching, you're like speaking Spanish or Italian or French or German or whatever, and we want it in English. Like it's we're just speaking a different language.
Sure.
And most of the time, the difference between coaching and fandom is what you do with the outcome. Do you scrap it? Are you frustrated? Are you like, oh man, and you start pointing. It's like it's this, it's that. Like in coaching, you're not really afforded that luxury. You have to kind of stay with it. So in the solutions business, you have to go back to the drawing board and see where you went wrong. And I think for them, there's plenty of teaching tape. We talked all week about feast or famine. Talked in the pregame with
with Michigan's offense, you mean?
Boom or bust.
Yeah.
The 39-yarder by Underwood. Okay, I tip my hat. It's a fantastic scheme.
Yeah.
Right? It's just cat and mouse.
With Michigan, the quarterback running, they're plus one.
Michigan wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Could Nebraska do that differently with playing a little man? They could have done a couple different things. They didn't. They played coverage. Michigan has really good players too, right? Dry erase board, the whole nine. You have the 75-yard run by Haynes.
Haynes, yeah.
Right? So you go what's 145? And you can't do this. I'm telling you how Nebraska look at it. 149 minus 75 is 74. That means Haynes' other 16 runs went for 74 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. You take the 54-yarder away from Marshall. That means his other 5 carries went for 26 yards. What Nebraska has to figure out defensively is if it's all about limiting explosive plays, do we need to be more conservative with this philosophy, better execution with our players, or some combination of both? Because that's really what it boils down to. I mean, outside of tackling, which is pretty obvious, you're talking about 54 plus 75 plus 39, which is 168 yards
of the 286 that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that those count, right? I get it.
No, they absolutely count.
Right. But if you're talking about schematically, was there a problem?
That's what they're going to have to address.
And that's kind of what I was trying to say.
I mean, that's where the real coaching's going to come in, right? Are we going to be
You're like, hey, were those three a schematic issue that we need to fix, or do we need to execute what we're doing better?
And I remember, and sometimes you want a real life example. Sometimes I'm on the headset with a coach. This is a couple years ago, and a team is getting us with a very similar scheme. And Coach Lamangi on the headsets makes a suggestion. And I go, just instinctively, I said, we just got to be better. And he goes, no bleep. Right? So I knew what he was saying in that moment, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he's shorthanded. Do we need to make an adjustment?
Yeah.
Right? This is the fourth time we've got hit on the Poco route.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Because that's the question. If you consistently are not executing the thing you're trying to do, you have to try and do something else.
Yeah. So
which I get.
Like that happens real time in coaching all the time.
That's a very Lamangi response.
No, he's great, man. But sometimes that's just how it goes. It's just how it goes down, right? So
we kind of touched on one of the two things that if I had to say I would maybe consider as a layman schematically that I maybe would have liked to see differently. It was one, you brought it up with the Underwood, with the clear out and playing coverage instead of leaving a guy middle, right? If I'm Nebraska and I know, hey, the secondary is my strength in terms of coverage, and I don't really think Bryce Underwood can beat me with his arm over the top.
Yeah, that was pretty apparent.
Like, I thought, like, he had a lot of inaccurate balls. They had one.
But is it weird that I still like him?
No, it's fine.
But I told you, like, I thought Michigan was pretty good.
That's fine. But he had, I mean, in terms of if you're Nebraska and you're trying to make, like, hey, what would we want back? What would we do differently, right? He had one completion over 10 yards. He was 1 for 6 for 16 yards.
There are a lot of guys that wanted to sell out and make him throw the ball.
I was one of them.
So I wonder what that would have looked like.
I do too. Because, again, that's where I come back to the 3 runs, because for the most part, it worked. Like, what they did worked for the most part. But my thought is like, okay, and I may not be right here. If I'm right and I go, hey, I feel like they were late on run fits a little bit. Because on the Haynes one is interesting. And it was, one? Yeah. So it was Shavers occupying, whether he was right or wrong, I don't know, but he was fast. And then you had Buford, who I felt like if he had gotten to the hole quicker, it's less of a two-way go because there's more congestion. Is that right or wrong?
It's right in the premise. I had to be very careful.
Okay.
Because, again,
I'm only saying Buford because I was the guy. Like, that was who it was. I don't know.
Coach Queen and I will arm wrestle about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes this happened to us Thursday night or Friday night on a speed sweep that Bellevue Western was RPO. And they got outside the box. And he's on the headsets and he's like, hey, if your guys are more right now, the safeties won't be as indecisive. And I said, I'm like, hey, we're playing this as fast as we can. Let me take a look at it on the iPad. Maybe we just have to be more, stout. Well, I get on the iPad. We got everybody on the bench, and I'll show you the play because we cut it up this morning to look at for Central because they like to get on the perimeter, and there's some things that we're going to do differently. We gave so we're into the number 2 receiver, right? And our outside linebacker sees ball inside. He sees the ball inside. So he gives one of these where he wants to come inside. Well, they got some speed.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time we get done playing peekaboo in here, it's out the back gate and they've stretched us. Now, what did his safety have to do? His safety had to banana from inside out as opposed to just getting a downhill natural fit. So I'm going to be very careful about the indictment of who's who, because I don't know enough about if they won the boxers in the box. I'm telling you, the boxer spill thing for inside the hashes totally matters.
Changes all your angles.
Changes your angles.
Changes all your angles, right? So you can look slow when you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and it's a trust thing.
So here's why I brought it up. Not to indict Buford. The reason I brought it up is, this is out over my skis a little bit, so you have to tell me if this is nuts or not, right? My thought was, if I think guys are a little slow into the run fits, why not just do some run blitzes into those fits so they're never slow?
Like right now, like some of those mug looks?
Yeah.
You could have.
Like that's personally,
you could have.
As I'm watching that live, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, you could have.
Because I'll be like, hey, I will take my chances in coverage with Bryce Underwood and his arm.
I'm sure there's a couple that I know there's a couple of.
So that was one thing schematically that I would have liked to see maybe a little different.
So where in your this is going to be the fascinating thing over the bye week is like where so everybody has to have accountability, right? Mm-hmm. How much of that is do you want to just say, hey, man, we got to be better, and then have your coordinator, your head coach say no bleep, right?
Yeah,
so it's like that's the
and at some point do you have to understand, hey, we're not capable of executing the thing I want them to.
That's where they're going to be at,
right?
Right, and and again,
I know DR didn't want it, but it is good to have a bye week right now to figure that out.
Yeah, so
I think,
and there's some maturation and growing, in that one too, right? Where you go on offense and you're like, all right, they're in those wide nines. They got smaller and lighter.
Step up. I mean, when they start out that wide, you have to know where your path is, right? It's not leaking out the back.
I understand.
Like that's the thing that drove like a little bit, and that's an execution thing. That's not a scheme thing. But if you're Dylan, and I thought, listen, I know some people weren't. Dylan played really, really well. I thought, like, if you gave me those numbers every day of the week, I will absolutely take 30 for 41, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I will take that every day and twice on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
And if he plays like that every week, he will be playing on Sundays. Like there's no question there. So I thought he played really, really well. The thing that frustrated me a little bit is I can see you've got really wide set out ends that are pretty clearly going to rush. I need him to know immediately that my gap isn't going to be out the back door. It's going to be forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like it's just easy math.
And that doesn't absolve the tackles.
When you go empty and you are speed rushing with 4, you have 7
in coverage
for 5.
Yeah. That's not great.
It's not like so.
Which means, again, you're probably going to have some gaps to give yourself a little life.
Yeah. Or, I mean, you can not get an empty too, right? Because the one time they did try the chip, that didn't go well either. So, I mean, yeah.
The thing I thought that and maybe I'm wrong here, it felt like they motioned into empty a lot. I thought they were doing that to give Dylan a cheat code, whether they were man or zone.
Yeah, me too.
So, like, I understand why they were doing it.
Yeah. I would have.
But couldn't you do the same thing opposite?
And
like
bring him back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did a couple times.
Yeah.
Where they brought, which I thought it would have been, again, this is why I thought it might be a Mosey game. I thought it would have been more effective to have.
Well, they started, right?
They did
back in the backfield, the orbit motion. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they did it. They did a handful
of
those.
And it kind of got away from it.
The other thing that I would have liked to see, and I think this is more schematic than execution, and this is on the offensive side. I really only had the one issue on the defensive side. I would have liked to see them be like, hey, we're stopping the run. Good luck, Bryce Underwood. If you beat us with your arm, you win. Congratulations. Offensively, it seemed like, and they only did it a handful of times, it seemed like when they got the pocket on the move a little bit, Dylan actually played, like he threw the ball really well. And I would have, with the issues they were having on some of those situations, if you can shift the line and give him hit the out automatically, since he was sort of struggling to see where his outs were with pressure, I would have maybe liked to see them roll pocket a little bit more.
Yeah. Because there's a lot.
It seemed like they were highly successful when they did.
There's lots of things they can do differently now.
Yeah.
That's what the tape is for.
But
and that's what the bye week is for.
But schematically, those were the only 2 things that I was like, I would have maybe liked to see that a little bit more. Now, that does take you out of RPO for the most part, which I don't think they wanted to do. I think and late, we saw the RPO work pretty well. It was mostly P, not a lot of R, but it did seem like that option kept Michigan in their place long enough that the quick game started to work again.
Yeah.
Instead of having the 7 in coverage. So I do understand roll in the pocket probably takes that away from you to a certain degree. So which is more important, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Shane, did we lose Cactus Jack? Was that Golden Voice?
That was the Golden Voice.
Sorry, we talked too long.
We talked too long.
That's our bad. Jack, if you're listening, call back, but we'll get to you here.
Tired. I'd rather have a sister working at a house of ill repute than have a brother that goes to the University of Texas.
Ill repute.
That's an incredible line, by the way.
That's a keeper.
Let's take a quick break here, catch our breaths. We'll catch up on some of the comments and everything as well. Coming up on the show today, we've got our Monday regular, Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald at 8 o'clock. At 9, we're going to talk a little NFL with Russell Baxter, NFL author and historian. And then at 9:40, we're going to talk to Brandon Williams. He's a former Michigan Wolverine, but an Omaha native, so we'll give him a pass there. And we'll talk to him about the game and how he saw it to wrap up the show.
Figure out how good Michigan is or isn't either.
Yeah, that's, I do want to get to that because I had a list of find out games. Nebraska, Michigan was one of them. I actually felt like I nailed the find out game because I feel like we found out a lot in those games. We'll come back to that. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Obviously, a disappointing loss for us. One in which if we're smart about it, we can hopefully learn a lot about ourselves and about where we need to improve, where we're headed. Credit to them, they made the plays they needed to make. We certainly had our chances. We had to start off with a great drive, and they stopped us on 4th and short, and got the ball back with great position. Missed the field goal, and then battled back. Made it, as you guys know, made it even at halftime, and field was tilted against us in the second half. They made a long 56-yard field goal, which ended up being the difference in the game, and battled back. That last third, the third down was not the last one, but the second to last one. We had several chances to get off the field, 3rd and 16, I think 3rd and 14, whatever it was, 3rd and 15. Couldn't make the plays, and so long stretches of that game where we couldn't protect. And number one, I thought for them was magnificent. Barsham was he was a handful, and thought we settled down as it went on and protected better for a while. But still some key moments where it wasn't good enough. And then obviously the run game for them. 2 plays in the first half, but just too many big plays to win a football game like that. So we battled. Appreciate the effort of the guys, but wasn't good enough.
Not really. Just I think the confidence has grown, and she's starting to feel a little bit more like herself, and her and Bergen are starting to find out a connection. I think Bergen's learning a little more what she needs, and so we're seeing the benefits of that. But yeah, that's awesome to see her put 2 matches back to back, 2 great attacking matches. So hopefully she can continue to build. Oh, it's huge. When your opposite can kill balls, it just takes a lot of pressure off your left sides, who are already by default going to get a ton of sets. So when it feels like your opposite can get kills and side out, it just lets them free up their play and focus a little bit more maybe on passing and defense. So I think it's huge. And then our middles are doing such a great job. That's what you want your teams to worry about, your middles and your opposites, and then your outsides will be open.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, we take all the emotion out of it. This is when our brotherhood's tested, and our guys will fight back harder than ever, and we'll come back ready to go get ready for the next game and win. So, you know, a lot of people think this might break us, but I'm just telling you right now, be careful. We're going to come together and do something scary.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, if you're on the road this morning heading to work, don't get too distracted by, you know, however you feel about the game. Like, keep those eyes focused straight ahead on the road. You got one job as a driver, has to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. So, DB, you asked a question on the way out there about how good do we think Michigan is? Because I think that largely will inform, probably more than anything else, how we feel about what happened on Saturday. If you think Michigan's pretty good and a team that, I mean, what they start, 14 preseason poll?
Yeah.
They start, if that's a top 15 team in the country, it means they're knocking on the door of a possible college football playoff berth. Do we feel differently about that game than if they're the 21st or 25th or whatever team in the country that they were when we played them?
You know, is that rhetorical? Or are you going to?
No,
So this is my thing, and I think people want me to be more upset. I'm really not, just because of what you just said. The perspective going into the game. I said Thursday. I said Wednesday. I said Friday. Man, Michigan's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I knew that they were pretty good. And now you asked me this morning. It's like, do I feel they were better or worse than I thought? They're about the same.
Mm-hmm.
About the same. It's good enough to definitely win. The reason that I picked Nebraska is because I thought a couple of things would play out a little different. Number one, I thought I didn't think there would be such a physicality disparity on the back end. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's tackling was incredible.
Really good.
I was blown away by. I mean, they brought some drama.
Yeah, their secondary tackling was
and BMAC, he said
really
something
good.
in the pregame that I didn't really pay attention to specifically. But he goes, "Have you watched their he goes, their safeties get to where they're going."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, you know, pretty good," because I just think globally, like how I watched them play. But those two guys in particular, fudge.
Yeah.
they brought some wood. So I'm not.
And off the top of my head, I don't remember a egregious missed tackle from their secondary.
So I don't. So I felt like that was, you know, I misjudged that, and I also thought Nebraska would run the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because sometimes running the ball, and I don't know. I have to kind of go back. You get down to two scores, which they did twice. I don't know how you feel about the ability to run it, but if I look at 19 for 65 and I think, okay, pretty workmanlike, not gaudy, but, you know, workmanlike.
And they did get some creases early.
Yeah. So,
you know, Emmett popped
think,
a couple for
I
like
think
8.
You kind of have to go back and look at.
Mackay had one for like 8 or 9. Like you had some opportunities.
Yeah. So
to your point, yeah.
I just wonder. Like if you had it to go back and do over again, I mean, you'll take McConnelly finished with like 3 for 19, but you'll take the 6 per, right? Or whatever that is. That's 6, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever 19 divided by 6 and some.
Can I ask you a question though about that, about running the ball a little bit more?
Sure.
So Dylan's the best player on your team.
I know. I told you that's the conundrum.
We really, I mean, you mentioned earlier.
I said it
we really like the receivers.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? So like that's where it's like, yeah, ideally you'd like to run the ball more.
Do you remember the one key that I said at the very beginning of the season about Nebraska's offensive identity?
What's that?
I'm gonna say it again.
Okay.
That it will be the discipline or the balance, the self-control to decide who you need to be.
Yeah.
Versus who you want to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be the whole, because I feel like their offensive line is best at run blocking. I feel like.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like you need to run the ball in this conference. But then I look at the roster and I think offensively, your best players are outside the numbers.
And your quarterback. Yeah.
So.
You got some pretty good pass catching tight ends.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, Lindemeyer did some work yesterday or on Saturday. Yeah. Like, he had some nice plays. So that's where I struggle.
So I think that's gonna be the balance. I mean, you have a draw.
Mm-hmm.
You tried to go to the screen game twice because I think you thought you were gonna get pressure out of the empty, but they played coverage behind it because they could rush with 4.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I don't want to have it all super knee jerk and. But I do need to understand how many times they actually brought plus pressures versus not. But what I do think is funny is, if you want the whole indictment referendum thing, and everybody's going to have their opinions, right? Where I heard this, well, Michigan gave them a couple of gifts, or they were without their head coach, or this was a gettable team. Yes and no.
I mean, it was 30-27. It was gettable.
And I don't just look at the final. I look at the game.
How it played out. Yeah,
right?
Nebraska was down 10 most of the game.
Because what fans will do, and sometimes in the media will do is, well, Michigan did X, Y, and Z. Gifts, total gifts. What players and coaches do is they do the exact same thing. It's easy to see it's easier to see a drop or an unsportsmanlike for taunting. Which still boils down to discipline and concentration.
Yeah.
That's how players think.
Which he'd also done that like 4 times over the course of the game, and they finally just called the last one.
So
for whatever that's worth.
So players think, man, I left blank on the field at this time. I left blank on the field that time. I should have made this cut. I should have made this throw. I should have made this tackle. It's not as obvious to media and fans. So we pick these arbitrary points to point at and say what Michigan gave Nebraska. It's a two-way street, but some of that stuff is not as easy to see.
Yeah.
Because we don't look at it like that. Right? I mean, you go up. I'm not going to go tit for tat there. I'm just saying, like, so I heard, or the fact that Michigan didn't have their coach. If there's a program that's used to playing without their head coach.
You said this last week. You did.
I know it's Michigan. Like that was a non-topic. Like you have Chip Lindsey, you have Wink Martindale. Like those guys know what they're doing.
And Biff's been around this program a ton.
He
was a head coach until last year or whatever.
You do what you do. Like the head coaching thing was.
I thought it would be more of a factor than it was personally, and I feel like I was wrong about that.
I mean, I get it, and I'm not slapping your hand for thinking it. I just look at it through different lenses, right? I know all players care about is what's the game plan, and do we feel like we can execute it? Outside of that, everything else is for us to it's just talking points.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask something about the run game?
Whose?
Nebraska's.
Oh yeah. You could ask whatever you want. Okay, go ahead.
So as you're talking about kind of that balance of who you want to be versus who you need to be, and how much.
I think that's a thing going forward.
I agree. How much though? And I think I said this last week. I don't remember if it was on air or just to you. As I said, I felt like this might be a little bit of your pass game is your run game type situation. So how much do you consider like Emmett had 5 receptions for 32 yards? I know 2 of Heinrich's were kind of those slip outs in the flats there. Like how much of that do you take into account for
what you want the desired outcome to be to manipulate the box? A fair amount.
Okay.
A fair amount.
Because when I see that, I'm like, okay, I get they threw 41 times, but that's at least 6 of them right off the top of my head that I kind of consider extended handoff run plays.
A fair amount.
So if you do that, like if you do the math there and it's, that gives you
fair.
37 rushes to 35 passes all of a sudden.
I'm not going to fight you over that. If you told me Nebraska was going to run, 72 plays and 31 of them were going to be runs, I don't know. It's a little skewed because 7 of those
are dropbacks that are sacks.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say that evens it out. Does that make you feel better about let's say it's 7 for 7. Let's play it easy and just switch them out.
Probably not.
Okay. Still probably need a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Probably not. I'd like to have seen, and again, sequentially, I have to go back. And I joke, because I've done this a while.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, inevitably you get inside the 10. One of those is going to be a fade. Like I say that every week.
Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm on the record. I hate the fade pass, but and
one of them was
a
fade. And I think I'll say this as a guy that really has an affinity for the craft of coaching. My only pushback on that is if that's going to be one of your plays, then I think you have to be thinking, just me, I think you have to be thinking 3 downs to make 10 yards. The other 3 downs inside the 10.
Yeah, I think that's
fair. Especially if you're not going to take the points.
Yeah.
So I need that needs to asterisk, right?
If you're going,
go.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's my only thing. And I don't know. Did Nebraska have the chance to get up 10-0?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a different game? I don't know.
Maybe.
But so I don't.
Do you think that would have forced Michigan to start trying to throw the ball a little earlier?
I think Michigan, my gut says
they would have done what they do.
They do what they do.
Yeah. That's kind of
they don't strike me as a panicky bunch.
I think schematically, if you were going to try and make Bryce Underwood throw, you were going to have to make him do it.
Yeah.
Like you were going to have to make it so painful to try and run that the only thing, like it was too obvious to try and pass that they couldn't pass it on.
I did feel comfortable saying I felt Michigan or Underwood had way more margin for error.
Yeah, I think that was accurate, right? He didn't play. I mean, he had the
way more margin.
He had the nice,
and I'm saying that, and I think he could still be. He's still going to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about his 4th game of his career. Like, this is not an indictment on who Underwood's going to be as a player. I think it is who he currently is as a player.
I tried to really just watch his demeanor. He's got some poise to him.
Yeah,
he's got some poise to him.
I think your margin for error comment was dead on though, because I mean, really, he had one really nice play, the draw up the middle. Outside of that, if you're Nebraska, you'll probably take how he played, right?
Yeah.
Didn't really kill you with his arm. Outside of that one run, didn't really kill you with his legs. You'll probably take how he played 99 times out of 100.
Going back to the comparisons of
160 total yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
You'll probably take that out of a quarterback.
It's the sack yards 49-6, and the tackles for losses minus 54 to minus 13. You want the most glaring stat of all of them.
Yeah.
This is really the game within the game. You want me to give some credence to tactical versus technical?
Yeah.
What did I tell you makes scheme overrated?
Making plays.
Tackling. If you tackle well, scheme is highly, highly overrated.
Yeah.
Of the 76 plays that Michigan saw, how many solo tackles do you think Michigan had?
Oof. I would say I would say well over half. I'm going to say
that would be accurate.
50.
40 solo tackles.
That's just basically in space, you and a guy, you make the play.
And that dog will hunt.
Yeah. One, we saw the exact opposite for Nebraska, right?
How many you think Nebraska had total?
Not very many.
Of the 54.
26. Oh, God. That's pretty bad.
So, I mean, percentage-wise, it's not awful. That's a lot of solo tackles for that many snaps.
So was it the solo tackles that?
Because remember what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
One team was running the ball.
Yeah.
One team was throwing the ball. You'd expect those numbers to be flipped.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
That's why I think we have to be. And listen, guys, I'm not trying to talk you off any ledge or your emotions. I don't get into how you should fan. But I do think it's my job. It's just like the fiduciary responsibility, right? I just want to give you the information, and you can do with it what you will.
You can feel however you want about it.
I'm not going to tell you how to think. I just think 40 solo tackles for the way Nebraska played offense is incredible to me. That's
a lot.
Dude, that's
a lot.
I mean,
So was that the number one reason for the limiting of the extra yards?
That's a lot of it.
Yeah.
You get guys to the ground. I don't know. It's just a game changer.
Yeah. And I
just want you to think of just sit on that for a while of the way Nebraska played.
Yeah.
Sideline to sideline. 40 solo tackles for Michigan. Nebraska had 26 with that many runs. That's not going to be a good formula.
Yeah, probably not.
Got to figure out a way to flip that.
Well,
and listen, does that mean Michigan has that many better players? A little. But the coaching part and why I love the bye week is you get to get into the execution of it. How much that's going to be it's fascinating. For going back to the drawing board versus getting better at what we do. How are we going to slice that pie in percentages? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that tackling part really reared its ugly head on that 9-minute drive in the fourth quarter.
Oh,
that's the one that sticks out to me.
I felt like you
how many opportunities did they have?
You want to go back and get some stuff during the broadcast. I felt like I may have said that too much. But it's all I kept saying.
I don't think you could have said it too much.
Because I think when you draw the defenses up, you're getting what you want.
You got the looks you wanted. You just got to make the tackle.
Yeah, you had them in 3rd and longs.
And to be fair, I think Michigan got what they wanted, and they forced corners to tackle a lot. And that's the scheme, right? They want corners to have to tackle.
Yeah, and my guy asked me about Caleb. You knew this. I knew this. And it was just one of those games. It's what made the week so hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like and he got hurt in good on good.
Yeah.
With the concussion, but knocked himself out. But yeah, did I want to see a guy get down into the box and make plays? I did.
Yeah.
I really did. So the whole time it's giving me a headache.
Yeah.
It really was giving me a headache. And then, it makes the weekend tough too. So, that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were thin in the secondary.
Let's get – and Hartzog was out, obviously, as well.
Yep.
Which I am interested to see – when we can talk about this later after we get to Sam. I'm interested to see how much difference you think Hartzog makes in a game like that.
Yeah, just the savvy.
Yeah. Experience,
And we saw what happens when corners got a tackle. So there's a lot of – it's not even soul-searching. That's a little deep for week 4 because I'm not into the referendum thing.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting, the balance that it takes of self-eval versus got to coach him up.
Good stuff there. We're going to talk to Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald next. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
We asked fans to say something nice about each other. Let's see what everybody has to say.
I would say the one thing I like about Michigan is Taylor Lewan.
This place has been great. Everybody's really nice to us.
Nebraska has the nicest people. Go Big Red.
Well, I'm glad they beat Alabama a couple of years ago.
Just a volleyball school, and that's all there is to it.
Say something nice about Michigan? No, there's nothing really nice about Michigan.
Not even the lakes?
Never been there, so never plan on going, never will. If I had to say it, though, I would say Michigan. What is good about Michigan?
The reason that we came is because all of the Michigan fans who have ever been to Lincoln say this is the best place for away fans, and that's actually why we came. Everybody's really nice. They say, have a good game even though we're the opponent. So the Huskers have a great reputation in Ann Arbor, which is where we're from.
Today's Fan on the Street was brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook and Casino.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, We've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I mean, we take all the emotion out of it. This is when our brotherhood's tested, and our guys will fight back harder than ever, and we'll come back ready to go get ready for the next game and win. So, you know, a lot of people think this might break us, but I'm just telling you right now, be careful. We're gonna come together and do something scary. Yeah, I mean, shoot, we were getting booed, so I mean, I love that. I mean, shoot, it sucks when your home crowds boos you, but. You know, once again, we appreciate them, everything they do, but, I mean, it's cool now, but you don't win the game, it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it, so it's what it is.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We run it every week in practice. It was called. I was like, I just got to do my assignment and do what I need to do. Dylan made a good throw. I made a good catch, and I'm proud of it. It wasn't enough. We got to make another play, just build off of it going into next week. Continue to make plays like that and develop that trust with Dylan, knowing that he got guys down there to depend on, and we got a quarterback that's going to make the throw. He put it right there.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, how are we doing this morning?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
One of those mixed emotions for you. Very
no,
good.
Bears won, Browns won yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say, very good weekend in the McKewon household.
The Caleb Williams of it all?
You want something funny, too, Sam? I got a good buddy who's kind of a degenerate. And he texted me yesterday morning, and he goes, "Hey, you feeling pretty good about your Steelers? Can I put them in my parlay?" And I immediately went to my two locks for the week. I said this; it's in writing. Are the Bears and the Browns? The Bears and the Browns. And he responded to me to win outright. I said, maybe, certainly the Bears. He goes, well, why are you avoiding the Steelers? And in my head, I'm like, because they're the Steelers. And they took it down to the wire, of course, to put that game away. But you got to be pretty happy about the evolution of your quarterback and his offensive coordinator. I get it. It was Dallas, but Caleb's getting better every week. Every week.
Well, he has one of the best offensive minds in football as his coach.
He's pretty
so
talented.
That helps,
too.
right?
Yeah, you guys, man.
Oh, yeah. Nobody questions Caleb Williams' talent. There's never been that. He's got a great arm.
Between you and Verzal, you guys it's going to be begrudging, isn't it?
Oh no. I think Caleb's the most talented quarterback that's come out in a long time. Even more so than Jaden Daniels, who I think's done a really nice job in his early tenure in the league. No, Caleb's super talented. He's got to throw the ball before guys are open, and he'll get better at that. And he's got to, stop acting like he's still in college. Like some of the things that he tries to do, he just can't do anymore. Like running backs who think they're going to run around. Like, Scadaboo had a run last night where he thought he was going to run around somebody from the Chiefs. You can't do it. They're too good in the NFL. The level of play in the NFL is so high that so much of the stuff that college players get away with on Saturdays, they can't do it on Sundays. Mm-hmm. So Caleb's still learning. My primary worry about Caleb Williams is that he's going to be Baker Mayfield, and he's going to figure this out like 5 or 6 years in, but he won't be a Bear anymore. Mm-hmm. He'll be somebody else. He'll be on some other team. And Baker, who played for the Browns for I don't know however many years and had one really good year and then struggled in some other areas, he's figured it out. And like Baker Mayfield is a hell of a player too, who's, now kind of in his second contract or whatever you want to call it. He's now going to be, a pretty big time quarterback, but it took him 5 years to realize it. What you hope with Williams is that doesn't happen. Like he figures it out this year and in year 3, and the Bears are able to get to building a stadium and get him in a dome where he can play and not have to deal with the elements, because his play is going to take a dip in November and December and January because the weather around the stadium is horrible. So, I'm a long-term Bears fan. I've been a Bears fan my whole life, will be until I'm no longer here. I look at it from, I want them to win another Super Bowl, because I remember 40 years ago, I remember it well. And so I want to feel that again. As far as the Browns are concerned, the Browns actually have a lot of talented players. They have the weirdest and most frustrating quarterback situation in the NFL. So
more than the Giants, because at least the Giants potentially have another good player on their roster at quarterback. I don't know if the Browns do or don't.
They don't, unless you think Shador is that guy. And Shador might be, but it's the weirdest situation. You have a quarterback talking about playing, on the scout team, and he probably deserves a chance. And the coach doesn't like him. The coach likes Dylan Gabriel more, and the coach is wrong. And so all these weird things. But the Browns actually have 5 or 6 players, mostly on defense, who are really good.
That's how I feel about the Giants too. I agree with you.
Kind of. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the Giants have a little bit of that too. So the Browns are they have more talent than their record's going to suggest. It's just their offense is such a strange situation, and their quarterback is just situation and all of that. So if I was going to put the Browns and the Bears on a field and say, you could flip the quarterbacks, I think the Browns would win 11 games with Caleb Williams. They just have a weird situation. Anyway, it was a good Sunday. The Packers losing is always a good thing in this household, regardless of what the Bears win. And so,
well, you guys are consistent as the day is long.
We hate
there
it.
Is zero question about who Bears fans hate the most.
They hate the Packers the most, and then there is a slight begrudging empathy for the Vikings, but we don't like them either. And then we don't really care about the Lions, only they annoy us when they beat us. And so I have a phrase for the Lions in the household that I can't repeat here, but they're the Lions. And the Vikings, again, there's a little bit of respect there. They've never won a Super Bowl. You feel a little bit for them, but not too much. And then you just hate the Packers. Everybody in the division hates the Packers. They all do. Mm-hmm. And they don't feel the same way about all the other teams in the division. But you ask Vikings fans what they think of the Packers, oh boy. I mean, it's off the charts. And the Vikings have beaten the Packers a lot in recent years. But man, Vikings fans hate the Packers. So it's a universal feeling about that franchise.
I think it's a Wisconsin thing. It's a very hateable state.
I guess so.
Sam,
wow.
Yeah. Wow. Sam, let's get into the Nebraska game here. I'm curious as you watch that, as you kind of dissect everything through it. The narrative in game was how bad Nebraska was on the offensive and defensive lines. If you got a chance to rewatch that, did that hold up in your mind? Did you think they were a little better, a little worse than you thought real time? What was your perception of the line play compared to how people felt about it real time?
Well, we'll talk first about the defense. In real time, and you can ask the people who are sitting next to me, I called out the 54-yard touchdown. I don't know, and Damon can probably explain this way better than I can. I don't know if Nebraska was misaligned there. I'm not sure what was going on, but it seemed like something was not right in Nebraska's defensive alignment on that play. I know they brought a blitz from the wide side there. I'm like, they're going to go to the short side and they're going to run zone and they're going to score. And they did. And so that rarely happens. I'm not a coach. I'm not a former player, but there was something not right about that look on that play. Mm-hmm. So in real time, I don't know if that was the line getting dominated or something got wrong, but two Huskers were blocked into other Huskers. That's something that can't happen. The execution there was not right. And so there was that. Every time that Justice Haynes got the ball, because I had watched all the previous games, I'm like, watch out. because the way that they try to run the ball, they're trying to bust him for big runs. If they wanted to do the lean on the defense and get 4 yards of carry, they probably could do that. But the way that they compress their formation, they're trying to hit big runs. And they're comfortable going 0, 1, 2, 75. And so they did that, and they were able to pop Nebraska. I'm sure Nebraska knew that going into the game. So there's some things there that I think the Nebraska's defense has to work on. And some of that is, do you have to run so many line stunts? Can you just trust your defensive lineman to hold up a little bit better? Because I feel like the calls that Butler makes speaks to what he actually thinks of the group, which is, we got to get creative here, or otherwise we're just going to get pushed around. So maybe that's not true, but that's kind of what I see. On the offensive side of the ball, I thought it was pretty concerning. And so, like, the tackles, and Rhule was able to articulate it well in the post game when he's like, it seemed like we weren't attacking or being aggressive when we were giving them too much credit, which is never a thing that you want your coach to say. Like, it almost sounds like Nebraska was their tackles were almost a little intimidated, or they were, but you can't catch. And they were kind of catching. And what I put in my rewind today is a lot of those guys are kind of built like Nick Benito, who plays for the Denver Broncos and is a terrific player. And if people remember, he wrecked Nebraska's life back in 21 when Nebraska went down there and lost to Oklahoma. He had 2 sacks and about 95 hurries. And Adrian Martinez, he couldn't get away from him. And this felt like that. It almost felt like Nebraska just didn't handle what Michigan was trying to do that well, and Michigan was not always bringing 6 guys. The one blitz was pretty crafty, and they brought like 6, and it worked. But there were a couple times when they brought 3 or 4, and you got to be able to block that. Otherwise, your quarterback, who I thought played pretty well, isn't going to have much of a chance if you can't block 3- and 4-man pass rushes.
Sam, I'm going to read you a couple of stats, and I want you to tell me what they tell you. Keep in mind the way both teams played offense. Of the 76 snaps that Michigan saw defensively, they were 40 solo tackles. Of the 54 snaps that Nebraska saw, there were 26 solo tackles. For me, that's pretty alarming as much as Nebraska played out in space offensively. And I get sacks count as solos, but doesn't it seem like that number should be flipped?
Potentially, yeah. Obviously, Nebraska didn't tackle them a few of the times because they just went to the end zone. But yes, yeah. I mean, I think there's.
You think Michigan is that much better than Nebraska mano a mano out in the open field? I thought that's a big 40 solos in 76 plays. The way Nebraska, that's a big number for me.
Yeah, I think Nebraska. Well, some of it is that Nebraska's throwing the ball a lot, and so when you throw the ball a lot, a lot of times guys will get tackles out in the open because they're the only guy there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought about. I would say that Michigan probably tackled better. I know they did, and Nebraska's probably got to do a better job of making guys miss. And my framework is. And,
as OCs and DCs is the goal is to get your free guy on our free guy. Right?
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, but beyond that, I think there is a question to be had about whether Nebraska, especially in the second half, it's 17-17, it's 20-17, whatever it is. Nebraska really didn't try to run the ball much. They just didn't. And I don't know if they went away from it too much or whatever you want to call it, but I felt like on the first drive of the game, they had 33 rushing yards on the first drive of the game. And I think the rest of the game, even if we're taking out the sacks, I think they had about 59. And some of it is you've got to find a way as an offense to continue pounding. And I don't know. It feels like Nebraska's run offense and run defense just aren't as good as they could be. And I think whether that's an issue of commitment or whether that's an issue of talent, it's hard to say. But I don't feel like Nebraska's rush offense, aside from the long runs against Akron and Houston Christian, which skew the numbers, has been very good this year. And I think the run defense hasn't been very good this year. And the pass offense and the pass defense are both very good. And it was almost like they spent 9 months working on that, and they got really good at it. Iron sharpens iron. And you can tell that when Nebraska drops back to pass, Dylan's good. I mean, he's spinning it. When Nebraska defends the pass, the guys are good, other than giving up a couple of runs. But when teams just want to run the football, either team wants to run the football, I feel like Nebraska is not as good as I expected them to be at running the ball. They're about what I expected on run defense, to be honest. That was the issue going into the season. We all knew it. They've tried to talk it up and say, well, the defensive line is going to be hell on wheels. Whatever. It doesn't make any difference. That's just rhetoric before the season. But now they've got to fix it. And they've got to fix it fast because guess what? If you give up 200 yards rushing really to anybody in the league, you're going to lose. And so they're going to want to not do that again. And every team's going to go to school on what Michigan just did.
How many teams do you think are capable of executing what Michigan just did, though?
Not necessarily a ton. I think USC can. USC did against Nebraska last year.
Is he the second leading rusher?
Who's that?
Behind Haynes. And his name
Wayman Jordan or Eli Sanders. There's two of them. There's two guys that are, I don't know. Let me take a look. I think I'm going to say
he's up there.
One of them is. Oh, yeah. Jonah Coleman is technically number 2, and then Wayman Jordan, and then Emmett Johnson. Yeah. So there's your top 4, and then Katron Allen from Penn State, and obviously everybody knows how good he is. Yeah, so I think there's teams that are capable of doing it. I think USC is capable. Michigan State probably isn't, but you know what? Michigan State may go into that game. So here's the thing. Michigan State's going to go into the game against Nebraska, and they'll be like, okay, well, we're not going to throw the ball against Nebraska all day long, so we're not going to drop Aiden Childs back like we did against USC, because USC can give up pass yards because USC can almost score at will. And so Michigan State's going to come into the game in 2 weeks, and I think they're probably going to be like, listen, we're not going to try to throw the ball 30 times. What we are going to try to do is get our quarterback in the run game, and we're going to try to run it 50 times or 40 times or whatever. And maybe they'll get to 200. You just never know. Teams are going to see what Nebraska is and what Nebraska does, and they're going to adjust, against Michigan State or against USC. I'm not saying Michigan State had a consequence-free offensive game, but they could kind of play loose because USC was going to kind of play loose. That's just USC trusts its offense. And so we'll see. My sense is Michigan State will come in here and try to do that. My sense is Maryland will try to do that. I think we'll all try to do it.
Maryland is last in the Big Ten in rushing attempts. They only run the ball 40% of the time.
I know, but why would anybody think they're going to throw the ball in Nebraska? I don't think they do. I don't think that's my point being that I think a lot of teams are just going to listen. We can try to throw the ball, and we might be able to have some success. But here's the thing that Nebraska's not very good at. We're going to try that first. And so I think a lot of teams are going to try it. Now, to be clear, I don't think all teams are going to have success.
Yeah, I got to go back. I got to go back and look at Michigan State. I think they had, I don't know, maybe low 30s for 110, maybe like 31 for 108, something like that.
Right. And in the circumstance with Michigan State, that game got loose, and it was going to. They know, and, Michigan State doesn't have the defense that Michigan does. So one of the things that I think is going to happen when Michigan State rolls in here in 2 weeks is I think Dylan's going to have a field day. I mean, I think he's going to have a big day, and I don't think there's a hell of a lot Michigan State can do about it. They don't have a pass rush. They don't have the players that Michigan does, and so, I don't know that Nebraska is going to be confronted with this dilemma. They might be confronted with that dilemma against Maryland. It's entirely possible. They might have Maryland's defense is way better than Michigan State's defense. Way better than Michigan State's defense. So, that could be another circumstance where you're running into it. I think of it in terms of like the games themselves, and like Nebraska wants to win all of the games. And so like each week they're going to be presented with like a problem, and the problem may not bear itself out the same way statistically, but stylistically it might be the same. And so, Maryland might only run for 165, but by goodness, that'll be 50 more than they're running for now. So like that kind of stuff. You've got to be mindful from here on out that teams are going to try to run it on you.
Sam, if Maryland runs for 165, I don't even know how you like him. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
I get it. I totally understand. And I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that, like, what teams are probably going to try to do from here on out is they're going to look at what Nebraska does well. USC will be like, screw it, we'll just be who we are, and we'll see if Nebraska can beat that. And Penn State probably will too. And Iowa can only be one way, so Iowa will do what Iowa always does. And for what it's worth, I think Nebraska is going to take Iowa to the house. I've said that a couple of times, and I think it's time for Nebraska to do that, and I think they will. But they may not too. And so, but the problem that's now been presented in the two power conference games, Cincinnati and Michigan both understood what to do, and they got it done. And now Nebraska has to recalibrate, and Nebraska also has to decide if, the way I would put it is, if they need to run the ball more, if they need to establish more of a physical edge. Time of possession they have. They have no issue possessing the ball. It's more, can they establish a physical edge in practice that helps their defense defend the run? Because it doesn't look like the defense has defends it very well. I don't know. What did you see on those long runs? I know you broke them down a little bit, but what did you see on those long runs?
So I think I'm going to go back and look at the alignment pre-snap on Marshall's long run. But, I mean, the quarterback draw was pretty self-explanatory. If you count Underwood as a runner, 6+5 in the box. He's free to be me is what we would call that when, Michigan late motion out, backer widens. Nebraska +1s. It's a 2x2 set. They +1 on both sides. Safety's over the top of the two-man combos, plus back motioning out. So you're void middle of the field, right? You're basically kind of it's not zero coverage, but you're +1 to both receivers. It's just easy pickings, right? It's just down kick, quarterback's got a crease. I think that was more schematics than anything, right? It's just good play call.
Right.
Good. I mean, it's just good play call. Nebraska's going to kind of vary how they play empty. The long run from Haynes, Nebraska runs the twist, occupies. I think Judy actually was the twister, and I felt like he played pretty well for the most part. And so you get a puller. I'm not sure if Shavers is going to, what I'd call, box that and keep it inside or spill it and force it outside. But whatever he does, the safety has to be on the same page. So he kind of ducks the puller, gets inside, gives the back a two-way go. Then Buford's got to get downhill and make a play on a good back. So I don't know. Like, that's one of those things where I think the bye week is fascinating because I think defensively and offensively, you say to yourself, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you do have to make some adjustments. So you're evaluating whether our guys just need to get better at what we're asking them to do, or do we need to ask them to do different things, or do we need to do what we do and have different guys do it? That's really, that's not rocket science in terms of how you're going to use the bye week, but I think that's what's going to go on, in my opinion. Because I don't think you can panic yet, especially if you look at – guys don't want to hear this, Sam, but, I mean, I can completely see what they want to do schematically defensively. I do. And it's not as awful as we make it out to be. It's just it's not yielding the results. So how much conviction do you want to have with it, I think, will ultimately be the question.
And I guess how much conviction do you have in the guys you're asking to do it?
Well, that's always an option.
That's part of it, right?
Right. I thought, MRI and I've talked about, Michael Rose-Ivy and I have talked about this quite a bit, and I think he's got a really good Twitter thread on the defensive scheme. Like, you can, I think players and coaches, and I'm not trying to isolate, what I'm saying is coaching and fandom are going to vary greatly on problems and solutions, and you want it to, right? You want fans to be passionate about outcomes and stuff like that. You want coaches to not panic and show some resolve. So I think that's what you're seeing when you look at the breakdowns of what happened versus the outcomes. The key is how you handle it going forward. You don't necessarily want the coaches panicking because you have a message that you're delivering, and you're trying to get guys better in the meantime. So it's just, it's the essence of coaching, right?
Absolutely, and I think they've got a lot of coaches on that side of the ball that will figure it out. Run defense has been a problem for Nebraska almost the majority of their time in the Big Ten, with the exception of 2015, 2023, and 2024. And there were issues last year at times, although not very many. Most of the time that Nebraska's been in the Big Ten, including when Bo was there, run defense was an issue. And I believe I better understood what Bo Pelini was trying to accomplish really on every defensive play than I do with this group, because we're kind of seeing all that stuff for the first time.
Oh, you're talking about like the 2-gap bracket stuff?
Yeah, and like you just, we understood it better because we had seen it for a while, and like we knew why some of the run issues would happen, and we're still learning John Butler's defense. I think part of what I would say is that the offense has to be aligned too. I think it's going to be hard to win big in the Big Ten throwing the ball 40 times a game. It's possible, certainly possible, and Ohio State has lit the way there a couple of different times, but it's hard. I think you have to find a way to run the ball. They don't have a second back really. They have the one guy, and if he gets banged up, he had 82% of the carries across the Michigan and Cincinnati games, and that's a lot. If Emmett Johnson gets banged up, and he, let's say midway through this 6-game stretch that they're going to have after the bye week, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to put Nelson in there? Is he your number 2? Ives didn't play this week, I don't think. Maybe he did. Maybe he got in there, but he didn't have a carry. Mosie's kind of a receiver. As you know, they passed on getting Marty Brown over the summer. They felt good about what they had in the room. I don't know, I don't know if Emmett's the best red zone running back. So, there's just questions on the offensive side of the ball that I think Dillon can paper over because he's good. And Ja'Cory Barney and Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter can paper over because they're good, and Luke Lindemeyer's good. But it doesn't solve everything. And they are going to play defenses that are pretty good. I mean, Maryland's defense is good. I mean, I don't think it's great, but it's good. And I think Northwestern will play, as Northwestern always does, will play very hard and very tough. And Minnesota's defense is good, especially up there. I mean, Nebraska's going to have to, Nebraska's not going up there for a cakewalk. So the key here is to win all the games. And so you got to find ways to solve all the questions that you have going into them. And that's where they stand, because this is still a team that could go 10-2 or 9-3. It's also a team that could go 7-5 and 6-6 if they're not careful. They have to play each week and take each week as it comes and figure out the best way to address their weaknesses and accentuate their strengths. And I think the Michigan game hopefully gives them a template in which to do that.
Sam, I want to talk to you real quick before we let you out of here. A lot of the narratives, as I think a lot of people maybe expected this week after or whenever Nebraska's first loss was going to come over the course of the season, right? Heard a lot of people talking about, hey, this is why other coaches don't do podcasts, and this is why other coaches don't do so many media appearances, and this is why this, and this is why that. And I guess we haven't asked your thoughts on it, I don't think. So I'm curious to start there, and I'm curious whether you think Coach Rhule's media availability is a contributing factor to what happened on Saturday.
I don't think it is a contributing factor to what happened on Saturday. I think that's probably the best way I can put it. Matt Rhule is doing those things not just for his own whatever. I think he feels like Nebraska has to continue to promote its brand and for the purpose of recruiting. Yeah. So this is about players. Now I think some of it's about players, and I don't think he's going to make a big, to do about that. But they need to continue to get good players. You see what happens when you go a year or two without getting the guys that you need, either in the portal or among the rookies, the freshmen. You see what happens. Teams are going to fall off very quickly. That's going to happen. You're not going to be just good year after year after year. You have to keep following up. Look at what happened to Kansas State. Look at what happened to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is the largest cautionary tale there is. I mean, Oklahoma State 4 years ago was playing for the Big 12 title and was a yard and a half away from winning it, and had a real nice run there from 2011 to 2021. Everybody remembers how good Oklahoma State was in that period of time, and now it's almost over. I mean, Mike Gundy's probably done, and that's because they didn't get the players. You know, when some of the good guys left for the NFL, he didn't replenish them, or he was behind it. So I think I understand why Rhule is doing what he's doing. Anytime you do that stuff, you open yourself up for criticism. I think he's aware of that, and I think he'll handle that fine. But no, what I would say, here's what I will say. I think at times prior to maybe today, too many of the media's questions have been focused on that. Like, I understand what they're doing, and I appreciate, like, there's a lot of questions about these things, and it feels sort of, you know, like, yeah, it is Matt Rhule's job to promote Nebraska's brand and to help with recruiting. I think we have spent a little bit too much time on those accoutrements. Yeah, and that's not our job. Like, as the media, that's not what we're there, you know, like, and I felt like there was a little bit more conversation about Michigan last week, but the question I referenced at the beginning of my column on today was a pregame for Cincinnati, and there were virtually no questions about football. It was all about this ancillary stuff and going to Arrowhead and the podcast and all these other things. And I'm like, guys, I get it, but like, these games are real. Nebraska's going to have to play good teams. They're not perfect. It's a 2-year conversation. I've talked to people about that too. This team's going to be way better next year, in my opinion, than they are this year. But they got to make a leap this year, and all these things are important. And so I feel like there's been a little bit too much focus on that. But quite frankly, Matt Rhule does not go into the press conference planning on like opining on his podcast. I don't think he actually wants to do that. I think he loves talking about football, and he's always been very fair to us when we ask hard questions. I just think that's probably, you're going to hear a few more of those today. Again, I've asked many stupid questions before. I lead the pack. I am number one in bad questions over the last 15 years. If you're doing this year after year, you're going to ask bad questions. And so that happens all the time. But at the bottom line, or at the end of the day, you know, this is a team that's, now we're in the thick of it, and it's going to be really interesting to watch, because everybody was kind of like, well, Nebraska's going to win this game. And there were even some uplift questions on Saturday and Rhule, to his credit, you know, I was like, yeah, I don't really like where we are right now. Like, you know, he got it. Or when, you know, Dylan was asked about how good it was going to be to have a bye week, and players hate going on a bye week with a loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
They hate it because now there's nothing they can do on Saturday. They have to wait. And he's got to watch all the games Saturday, and I'm sure he will. And he'll watch Oregon and Dante Moore, and he'll watch, you know, USC, and he'll be like, I want to be out there right now. You know, Dylan's a competitor, and I appreciated his vibe on Saturday. I think you're going to see that click into place now, where it's like, okay, this isn't just pat Nebraska on the back because they're winning 6 and 7 games. This is a program that wants to take a big jump in a real hurry. And I think that our questions need to be commensurate to that versus, you know, isn't it neat that he's got a podcast? I don't think the podcast has anything to do with their success. I think he's doing it for a very specific reason, and I don't think you're going to find somebody who's more focused on winning than that coach has been at Nebraska. So there's my answer. It doesn't have any effect other than they're promoting the brand in order to get the recruiting message out, which they feel like they need to do because they feel like they need more good players like Ja'Cory Barney. If Ja'Cory Barney's not here, folks, if they didn't get Ja'Cory Barney 18 months ago in the summer, Nebraska probably loses by 14-17 on Saturday. That's how important Ja'Cory Barney was.
Mm-hmm. That's Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care.
Thanks, Sam.
That is Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. I have a real quick question about the podcast thing. Okay. If we believe Matt Rhule at his word, that he's doing this for the brand of Nebraska to help recruiting, all that, right? We take him at his word. He tells us the truth most of the time, right? If he was spending that time, I think it was like 4 hours. Somebody added it up for me. It was very helpful. I appreciated that. It was about 4 hours of podcast time this week, or media time. If he had spent 2 hours recruiting and 2 hours with boosters trying to raise money, we're cool, right?
I mean, in theory, yeah, probably.
So is that not what he said this is about?
It's all on how you look at it, I guess.
Do we not understand what the job of a head football coach is in 2025? Just
I'll get back to that because I got something he kind of referenced that I think is interesting.
We'll get back to that and more coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Obviously, a disappointing loss for us. One in which if we're smart about it, we can hopefully learn a lot about ourselves and about where we need to improve, where we're headed. Credit to them, they made the plays they needed to make. We certainly had our chances. We had to start off with a great drive, and they stopped us on 4th and short, and got the ball back with great position. Missed the field goal, and then battled back. Made it, as you guys know, made it even at halftime, and field was tilted against us in the second half. They made a long 56-yard field goal, which ended up being the difference in the game, and battle back. That last third, the third down was not the last one, but the second to last one. We had several chances to get off the field, 3rd and 16, I think 3rd and 14, whatever it was, 3rd and 15. Couldn't make the plays, and so long stretches of that game where we couldn't protect. And number one, I thought for them was magnificent. I mean, Barsham was he was a handful, and thought we settled down as it went on and protected better for a while. But still some key moments where it wasn't good enough. And then obviously the run game for them. 2 plays in the first half, but just too many big plays to win a football game like that. So we battled. Appreciate the effort of the guys, but wasn't good enough.
really. Just I think the confidence has grown, and she's starting to feel a little bit more like herself, and her and Bergen are starting to find out a connection. I think Bergen's learning a little more what she needs, and so we're seeing the benefits of that. But yeah, that's awesome to see her put 2 matches back to back, 2 great attacking matches. So hopefully she can continue to build. Oh, it's huge. You know, when your opposite can kill balls, it just takes a lot of pressure off your left sides, who are already by default going to get a ton of sets. So when it feels like your opposite can get kills and side out, it just lets them free up their play and focus a little bit more maybe on passing and defense. So I think it's huge. And then our middles are doing such a great job. That's what you want your teams to worry about, your middles and your opposites, and then your outsides will be open.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
No, you know, we're in quarters. You know, they go to quarterback draw. You have line movement, take away the empty draw. Someone has to get off and make a tackle. It's a tough play. You know, it's a tough play against that. But you know, if you're getting 5 wides and you run quarterback draw, it's going to be a tip play. You need a D lineman to make a play. We're going to have to, as a team, get past and I think they have. I mean, I'm not saying anything about our team, but we're going to have to get past the perfect call world. It's like you have a call, someone's going to be stressed on someone, they're going to have to make a play, and then the long run. We ran some line movement, they blocked it. The ball gets to the safety. It's quarters. You have a fit safety. We just didn't make the tackle. So. That's those defenses. You have to make that play on those defenses, and just 22 played well.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, reminding you, if you have a desire to make an impact in young people's lives, Big Brother, Big Sister has the opportunities for you. They're looking for 60 men in 60 days to become mentors, to help relieve the 70% of their youth that are on their wait list, that are boys just waiting for a male mentor to make a connection with. Go to bbbsmidlands.org to find out more and to sign up to be a mentor today.
It's interesting. Well, let me get to what he said. I missed that when he said it the first time, getting past making the perfect call.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty crucial because that's what we keep saying when we watch these play breakdowns. We're like, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, but why so much pressure on? And I'm like,
sometimes you gotta go make a play.
That's just how it goes. Right? We want to do something against Central. Right? And we're Zooming yesterday. And then the question is, hey, what about the will? What about the will and this fit versus this look? And, you have to walk through it. And it's like, okay, every play, schemes are schemes, right? They're to take away, they're to get a desired outcome. So operating within that scheme, everybody's going to have some stressors. They just are, right? You try to limit those.
Can't take away everything, though.
The more you can limit those, obviously, the faster and freer you think people can be. But I do think it's interesting that he said we have to get past making the perfect call. I did get the explanation of the quarters right out of that run fit because that lets me know that play should hit outside of Shavers and getting down into the safety spot. So that's why you box that. That's a box safety. So inside, because when Shavers comes back inside, I think Buford thinks that thing is going to be inside the block. So like to have seen him maybe have that on the outside and keep it inside for your box safety. If in fact he's accurate real time that it was a box safety. I have no reason to believe he's not. But that play should be inside the hashes, not outside the hashes.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the duality of it.
Yeah.
To the point of the podcast, we heard him say, I think he said it to, I don't know if he said it to us or to me or to in a media deal, but, he said, that's just where we're at right now with getting players and branding. Like the rest of the country is doing it. And I think I said, yeah, I might have had an and or a but. And he said, listen, if anybody wants to control the message, why can't it be us? Why can't we control our own branding message as opposed to being at the mercy of the narrative of what guys say nationally? I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that except for I completely understand.
Yeah.
He wants to.
There's going to be a message about you regardless, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a message about you. So you want to do everything you can. This is the same way he coaches football, right? You want to do everything you can to control the things.
I just don't have any problems with that.
And also, can we not act like for the last 50 years, coaches have done weekly coaches shows on TV? Why do we care? It's a podcast.
Because you have to win.
Cool. Yeah, losers do coaches shows too.
I'm being sarcastic.
You know what I mean? I don't know. And listen, people are like, oh, well, it's not about the pod. Yeah, it is. You want me to go back through my mentions from Saturday? For a lot of you, it's about the podcast. Don't try and revisionist history this thing. You wrote it on the internet. It's forever. Right? It is about the podcast for a lot of you. For some of you, it might not be. Then I'm not talking to you right now. That's fine. But like 50 years we have of coaches being on TV every week doing a coach's show. Like, I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I think it goes back to 70s or 80s. This is a thing that happens every single week across the country.
He told you to your face, too. He knew this was going to happen.
Absolutely.
So
he's doing it anyway because he thinks it's important for the program.
I think he wants to control his own message.
Listen, he's talked about how Nebraska has to recruit nationally, right? They want to be a national recruiter. How many people know anything positive about Nebraska over the last 20 years? The kids that are alive that he's recruiting right now, how many of those kids have a positive football memory about Nebraska? Not a lot, right? Maybe a handful of them. Nope, 2009, that's too late.
And the consistency of the message, too, when he recruits is that, hey, we need you. This is what's going on. This is where we're at. You always want dudes.
Like, you think there's a better place in the world for Nebraska to put a good face on their program than him getting 20 minutes with Pat McAfee every week? Do we not understand? Like, that's one of the biggest shows in the world. He's the one guy that doesn't need ESPN. They need him.
I just know that we get mad when coaches are winning and they're on podiums because it's unfair that the rich get richer. So until you get to that point, what are you doing in the meantime?
Yeah,
maybe that's too.
We get mad when the college football playoff runs around and they go and they get an SEC coach that's been eliminated already. And they're like, well, why does Brian Kelly get to be on TV?
Yeah.
Where's Matt Rhule? And then, it's like, his season's over. It's like, you think his season wants to be over right now? And also, like, you're telling – here's the other thing I don't understand, right? You realize these guys don't – like, I know you – I don't know if some of you think that they are literally watching film 24/7. They do sleep occasionally. They have to eat meals. Like, that's not what it is. I don't know what to tell you. They're allowed to have downtime. And if in his downtime he's trying to make the program better, I'm good with that. You think he's taking a minute away from watching film or preparing to do a podcast? A single minute? That's a real question. Do you think he has taken a single minute away from doing football stuff to do a podcast?
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Like, because if it's not, what are we talking about?
I'm going to go with I don't know if I would go with the over or the under, but I'm going to guess that he sleeps just as much as Damon does.
Maybe
less.
Probably. I don't think they're a lot on the 8-hour train over there.
No.
I don't think they're.
Who sleeps 8 hours under the age of 18?
I don't think. Well, I think you go over the age of like 60, you start getting more.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But I guess studies show isn't there like a new study that 6 is the new 8? Do people really get 8 hours?
I don't know. I think 7 is the number you're shooting for. But if I get 6, I'm pretty happy.
Like a 5, I'm outstanding.
If you get 5 a week, I'm stunned.
You guys want to get to
a little bit of saturation?
You guys want to get to a couple calls?
Not some weeks. It's not.
Yeah.
Let's get to Mike to start off here. He wants to talk about the first drive. Apparently, Mike, what do we got going on, bud?
Well, good morning.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good. The question is, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
How's your family doing?
Really, really good. You know, I've asked about you out loud a couple of times on the show, hoping somehow you would get the message, man. It is you just changed my morning, man. It is fantastic to hear you're doing well.
You guys are just special.
You fighting a good fight?
Yeah. I'm doing okay. My markers were elevated a little bit. Yeah, everything's doing okay. So
oh man, I'm so happy to hear from you.
The oldest granddaughter just started her freshman year at Creighton. So
wow.
We'll be coming to Omaha more often, and we're having a Mustang reunion in October 11th. All the old Mustang boys. So.
Nice. The family's pretty good. Caleb knocked himself out in good on good last week, so he's slowly coming back from a concussion. But he got off to a really good start, so we're just hoping he can hit the ground running. But everybody else is pretty good.
Yeah, always in thoughts and prayers, you guys.
I appreciate you. What's up?
I know this doesn't fit into what your recent conversation here, but what struck me is we've always, for 20 years, we keep talking about the running game, and it still doesn't seem like we really have a big boy commitment, because that first drive, I actually lost it. I got so angry watching the game when we had 33 yards rushing on the first drive. We get down, we have 2nd and goal on the 3 or 4 yard line, and we got 3 plays to run it in. And what does he call? A fade.
Yeah.
Into the end zone with a compressed area to throw the ball, and then we couldn't score. We ended up getting stopped on 4th down. To me, it just tells the story. What is that? What kind of message does that send to me, to the players and the team that we're playing, if we're not willing to line up and see if we can just outman you? And I just think that's a lousy play on the goal line. That's my opinion. But just wanted to get you guys' thoughts and see what you think.
You got it, Mike. It's always good to hear from you, and we'll tackle this one because we have yet to really get to taking points on the first drive.
Yeah, I mean, I hate fade calls. I just do. I've never liked them. It's PTSD from the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl in like 2012. Like, it's just, I don't like it. But I didn't have a problem with the rest of the way that played out. One, I don't mind going in on 4th down there. I think the calculus of risk reward makes sense to say, okay, we either punch it in for 7 here, we want to be aggressive, or they get the ball inside their own 5, and we like our chances to get the ball back with really good field position, which, by the way, they did. And then they missed a field goal, right? So, but they got the opportunity they wanted, right? It's kind of like we're talking about with defense. You got the guy in the spot he needs to make a play. You got your kicker in the spot you want to. You got to make a field goal. It is what it is, right? I don't have a problem with the aggressiveness. In general, I understand that people are going to throw fades near the goal line. The other 3 play calls I didn't have an issue with. I thought the 4th down play call was actually really good. I thought he made the wrong decision of giving it to Lindemeyer as opposed to getting it out to Emmett, which – They said they had 3 options on that, so I'm going to believe them. I'm going to assume Emmett was one of them. I didn't think it was there for Lindemeyer. Emmett, there was nobody in front of that dude out there. Yeah. So I think it was a good play call. I think that was one of the few times Dylan didn't make a very good decision on it. But I don't have an issue at all going for it there.
Did Mike hang out? I wonder what. So to his point about what's it tell the team, I wonder if the mantra or the thing, whatever the theme is, we're going to go out guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
So if it's that, then I don't think the players pay it much mind.
I think they want to go for it.
I think they want. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So, I mean, I get the points though. That was a lot of it, of the discussion, especially early. But I'm just not a huge. It's hard for me to like pinpoint it because I'm not a big butterfly effect guy.
Mm-hmm.
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
We kept doing it during the course of the game. I was like, guys, man.
Well, it's hard, right? Because if you kick
real,
the field goal there,
it's like,
then you don't get the second field goal attempt, so you're probably not in a position to go up 10-0. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's like none of it plays out the same. That's just how life and football works.
And but then we fast forward to Michigan, we got a break because of the drop pass or the reverse. Like, you may not even be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
I don't. It's just
like
it's just the easy ones that we can see are the ones that we lament about.
But I like the aggressiveness. I do. I personally like it. Dylan said, "Hey, we know in that situation we're going for it."
Yeah.
Which I like that mentality. You want to be aggressive. You want to punch it in. Like I'm good with that. They are trying to put an emphasis on scoring from inside the 5-yard line. You want to give them opportunity to score from inside the 5-yard line. Like I don't have a problem with that.
We look at things like unsportsmanlike for taunting as these like mental gaffes, right? Mm-hmm. Players don't look at that. It's a self-control thing.
Yeah, it's discipline.
They don't look at that any differently than it elicits the same
like
release of endorphins as a personal foul, not fitting in the run game, a missed tackle,
face mask,
a face. Pick one. It all releases the same response in players. Those that can control it do. But we pick those things because they're really, really easy to see that we call a brain fart. That's no more of a brain fart than, I'm telling you, using the wrong shoulder. Like, you know better.
Yeah.
You know better.
You teach it better. You know it better. You rep it better.
And in crunch time,
and then you didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how. So in the gift-giving game, players and coaches look at it much differently.
Yeah, and I also, I mean, I don't really know what to do with the whole like, oh, they gave them this, right? They gave them this gift, or that, like.
I'm consistent I'm the wrong guy. It's a hot button for me because we always do this. It makes me sick. Like, he dropped this or he didn't catch that. That's if everything happened to perfect execution, you wouldn't play the game. So stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Somebody hit me on.
Listen.
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Somebody hit me on Saturday about like, well, I mean, Underwood's receivers dropped a bunch of balls because he's throwing bad balls, man. What do you want me to do? Like, he's throwing bad balls. Like, that's part of the reason they're dropping it. They were like, you get a holding penalty on offensive lineman, like, oh, he gave him a gift. It's like, why do you think he had to hold him? Do you think most offensive linemen hold guys because they think it's fun? No, they hold them because they get beat.
I'm not going to do it.
So we don't have to get you gassed up today like that. But I do think to Mike's point, and it was good to hear from Mike, that I don't have a problem going for on fourth down. I like the aggressiveness. I think it's a good way to set the tone for the game. Obviously, you want to score there and didn't work out. But
hey Shane, let's kill this. Let's get to Jay real quick, and we just take like a 30-second break.
Yeah,
before the NFL segment.
Jay's been waiting for a long time. We appreciate you hanging on.
It's not like we need a 4-minute commercial break.
We appreciate you hanging on there, Jay. What's going on, bud?
Jay, what's up, buddy?
Doing this morning?
Oh, we're hanging in there, man. How about you?
I'm well.
Good.
I'm well. First off, I want to say I apologize to Mr. Damon.
Why?
For my halftime reaction to the message. But that was the true sentiment of my heart in that moment. So,
it's okay. It's okay.
No
judgment. No judgment here, man. I try to tell these people, judgment and joy can't coexist. No judgment here.
And it was endearment. It was eternal endearment. So let me say this to the clip that you guys played before when you came back. When Coach Rhule said we have to get away from the perfect call syndrome, to where I feel like, and I saw that a little bit, but I want to stretch that over to Dylan. And I'm not being overly critical of Dylan, but I will say this. Dylan obviously came in as a highly talented 5-star quarterback. And this game was a game where he had to step up and make plays, just like we say the defense needs to step up and make a play. They need to get off the block and make a play. Just like offensive line has to make a play. They have to take everything that they've learned, everything they've been coached to do, and then execute that to the best of their ability. And then sometimes do something beyond, you know what I'm saying, and make a great play. And I think sometimes in Saturday's game, we needed Dylan to make a spectacular play, and he made the conventional play. Not downing him for that. It just is what it is. So I think the sacks and all of that is a team statistic. It's not just on Dylan. It's not just on the offensive line. It's on everybody. And as a collective, they have to do what they have to do to make plays in the moment to overcome that. Secondly, I do feel like Michigan was a great litmus test for us to see where we are. I think for me as a Huskers fan, I was a little shocked by the offensive line. I just thought they were a little bit more prepared for what we knew what we were going to see. We knew Michigan had a stud defensive line. We knew they were going to have speed on the edges. Like, we knew this coming in. I don't think we reacted the way the fans expected them to react. But if we look at the games, I think coaches knew. That's why we stunk so much. So anyway, I'm not. The world isn't falling. I feel like we're in a good space for us to learn and grow. I think if our coaching staff is as good as we hope they are, then they're going to make the improvements needed to make the rest of the season as good as we expect it to be. As far as, go ahead.
I was going to ask you something real quick because we're up against the clock. Let me ask you this. If I told you that Nebraska ran 22 more plays, had 7 minutes more time of possession, had 3 more trips in the red zone, had 10 more points in the red zone that they scored, would you think Nebraska won the game?
No. Yes and no.
Does it fit the narrative that you're hearing about the referendum on this game?
It doesn't, because if the team was overpowering you and dominating you on the offensive line, then they should have long, sustained drives.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that, again, it was 4 big plays on the defense, and they capitalized on them. Now, let me say this, and I'm gone. Please leave Matt Rhule alone with his podcast. This is for Husker Nation. We got to relax on that. For one, bro, I watch sports primarily, right? And I hear the Big Ten Network take shots at us. They don't respect us. I listen to all of the national pundits when it comes to college football. They put us in the category of delusional. They think our fan base is delusional, and they feel like we are a mediocre team. So for Matt Rhule to have access to be on the national platform speaking positively about our school, our football team, is a benefit. You guys mentioned it. Coach Osborne had a 30-minute show that came on Channel 7 at 10:30 at night, and people tuned in to watch it. Times have changed. Instead of people watching TV at 10:30 at night for a 30-minute coaching show, in 2025, our head coach does a podcast. We get to hear his heart. We get to hear how he feels about the team, and it is for national consumption, as well as he has a slot on Pat McAfee, which, as you mentioned, is one of the most popular sports shows in the nation. He has a reoccurring role on that show to talk positively about Husker football when no one else is. So Husker Nation, relax. Let's ride the wave and continue to do what we're doing. We got beat by Michigan. It hurts, especially when we don't think this is the best Michigan team. Mm-hmm. But I think the rest of the season is going to pan out the way it should. All right? So I'm a little mad, but we'll be okay.
All right, my man. Appreciate you.
That's our guy, Jay. Appreciate the call. Good stuff there. Another place you can find good stuff if you need some auto body repairs, our friends over at Dingman's Collision Center. Dingmans.com to get all the info you need to know, including their 4 great Omaha area locations. First place Best of Omaha for 20 years running. It's Dingmans.com. And you won't be mad like our guy Jay is about the loss to Michigan. We've got Russell Baxter coming up next. Talk a little NFL. Lots of things going on in the NFL as well. We'll take a real quick one here. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
We asked fans to say something nice about each other. Let's see what everybody has to say.
I would say the one thing I like about Michigan is Taylor Lewan.
This place has been great. Everybody's really nice to us.
Nebraska has the nicest people. Go Big Red.
Well, I'm glad they beat Alabama a couple of years ago.
Just a volleyball school, and that's all there is to it.
Say something nice about Michigan? No, there's nothing really nice about Michigan. Never been there, so never plan on going, never will. If I had to say it, though, I would say Michigan. What is good about Michigan?
The reason that we came is because all of the Michigan fans who have ever been to Lincoln say this is the best place for away fans, and that's actually why we came. Everybody's really nice. They say, have a good game even though we're the opponent. So the Huskers have a great reputation in Ann Arbor, which is where we're from.
Today's Fan on the Street was brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook and Casino.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's McCaffrey off the fake. Jones floats it. Hughes check. Touchdown. First of the day. And the Niners lead.
Rodgers dials it up. End zone. Touchdown. Calvin Austin. Steelers take the lead. Herbert to the air. Pipkins the block at the right tackle. Got away from Allen. Herbert alive and the throw. Caught. Touchdown. Touchdown. Allen. What a play.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Russell Baxter, NFL author and historian. Russ, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, we are hanging in there, man. It's can we still get to where we want to be with the excitement of this NFL season with these quarterbacks banged up, or are we just going to have to buckle up until we get some of the fellas back?
Well, I'll ask you this. Do you watch football for quarterbacks or do you watch football for teams?
I'm a team guy. But then I watch Minnesota, Cincinnati, and I'm like, shoot, sure would like a little bit better quarterback play.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like a better car, but I don't have that either.
I'm glad you picked up right where we left off.
Let me ask you a question. Couldn't you make a case that the most exciting play that you saw yesterday was Jordan Davis?
Oh yeah. You could. I wouldn't. Yeah, you could make that case. I wouldn't die on that hill. Yeah.
So, to me, there's a misnomer that this is a quarterback league. Okay. I just find that a lot of people who say the words quarterback league, frankly, are too lazy to look at the other parts of the game. I'm not saying you.
No,
the people who are.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, the sarcasm in that is I get sick of talking about. I am 100% with you. I'm the guy that is always tired of talking about quarterbacks.
Oh, and by the way, it's an offensive league now. Did you hear that too somewhere? It's an offensive league. I'm sitting here and I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm quoting Forrest Gump. Who gave up the fewest yards in the league last year?
I'm going to guess the Eagles.
The Eagles, yeah. In 2023, who gave up the second fewest yards in the league?
I'm going to guess the Chiefs.
Yeah. There's a trend here, huh?
Wait, what do those two teams have in common? Hold on.
Yeah.
I think you're getting to a point here.
Why is this is my favorite one. Why is it that in 59 years of the Super Bowl era, that only one quarterback has led the league in passing yards and won the Super Bowl the same year?
Yeah, that's true.
1 in 59, not 1 in 5, 1 in 59.
Super Russ.
Because you've got to have some sort of defense.
Is it Warner?
I think it was Mahomes.
No.
Was it Mahomes?
It was Mahomes.
Oh, okay.
3 years ago. That's how long it took.
So it took 55 to get one?
Yeah, and why is it that the MVP of the league rarely is on the Super Bowl team and wins it?
It's true. Let me ask you.
It's. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hang on a second. My reception will be better once I get off my soapbox.
Big Irish Spring guy, Russ. I'm big Irish Spring. Yeah. Hey, let me go to something interesting. I'm going to go to Chicago with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, and we saw yesterday where Chicago ran the ball 11 straight times. I don't unless you're the Ravens, I don't see that a ton. What do you think? Is that the way that you think he wants to play? Is that more about the Cowboys? Is it a little of both? I was pretty impressed with the design yesterday from Chicago.
This is right off the top of my head. A couple of years ago on I think it was a Sunday night game, Lions and Rams in overtime. Okay. Ben Johnson, I believe, was the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Lions got the ball in overtime, and I don't think they ever threw the ball. He went right down the field. I'm going to look it up while I'm talking to you guys. I believe they ran their way into an overtime win.
Russ,
I've seen stuff. Bill Belichick and the Patriots used to do stuff like that. Throw the ball, blah blah blah, times consecutive times. Run it, blah blah blah, times. If you can't stop, my friend Tom Jackson, my old ESPN colleague, would always talk about the effect of the running game. And in the fourth quarter of a game, when teams were running the ball and the other team knew they were going to run the ball and they still couldn't stop it, that was as demoralizing a thing you could do to a defense.
Russ, as we talk a little bit about it not necessarily being as quarterback-centric as people would like you to believe, and then we're talking about running game here. I've been advocating for, I don't know, what's it been, about a year and a half now, that like, let's stop paying mediocre quarterbacks and let's start investing like in our Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley's of the world. I know those guys are outliers in terms of their talent level, but do you feel like we're getting a little bit more of a running back resurgence here? It seems like there's been an emphasis in that the teams that are able to commit or have a running back that they really like are the ones we're seeing be successful in some of these games that can get a little squirrely.
Well, I think the quarterback's always going to be the highest paid guy. And one thing you can do with the quarterback, you get that contract and think about it. How many times do these quarterbacks, even on good teams, get asked to restructure their deals because they have to open up salary cap room for people? This is such a cyclical league.
Yeah.
You know? And the thing that was, if you go back and look at the guys who led the league in rushing last year, I want to say the top 4, top 5 were with teams that didn't draft them. Barkley, Henry, Pollard, Joe Mixon. They all went to different teams. Josh Jacobs. You remember a couple of years ago, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, and Josh Jacobs all got franchised. They never got long-term deals. Last year, they all went. I mean, Tony Pollard had a very good year for the Titans on a very bad team. But Josh Jacobs was sensational. Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing in 2002, and they wouldn't pick up his 5th-year option. What does that tell you?
Oh, my. It's almost like we're kindred spirits. Like, I said, we're probably the only show in Nebraska that is upset about the Josh Jacobs thing. Russell, I went on this rant about the dysfunctionality of that franchise, about how a year early you don't pick up that guy's option, and all he does is run the football for you.
Well, if you remember that year, let's see. That was they drafted 3 players in the first round that year. Jonathan Abrams and Cleveland Farrell. They didn't pick up the option on
either one of those guys. Yep, all 3.
All 3 they didn't pick up the option on.
Random meltdown show about that. Because, I know why, Russell. Our producer is a huge Raiders fan. So I just kind of went off on this tangent about them as an organization. Yeah, I remember now.
All
right.
I went back and looked at that overtime game. Run for 12, run for 21, run for 9. There was a pass in there to the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. Another run. I think it's 8 plays, 7 runs, 70 yards with 1 pass, and beat the Rams in overtime. And that's Ben Johnson.
Let me ask you, because they have their questions, right? We're not sure. Of these 2 3-0 teams, who's most closely resembles their record? The Colts or the Niners?
Ooh. I would say the Colts.
I kind of like them, but I have all year, so I probably lack objectivity.
Well, but I'm talking about domination, okay? Yeah. And blew out the Dolphins, blew out the Titans, and beat a team that was in the playoffs last year and came from behind to do it. Run the ball. They've been very physical. The Niners, listen, and I'm not, they're on their 2nd quarterback of the year. I understand that. But they've managed to find ways to win. Okay? Beating Seattle, well, I can't even say that's been tough, to be honest with you. Seattle's been a horrible home team for the last year and change. Yeah. I think people would be surprised. I think they came into Sunday's game having lost, 8 of their last 11 games at home. And meanwhile, they're, going back to last year, they're 8-1 on the road. So, I can't explain that. The 12th man does. I accept the 12th man. He has no sacks, he has no tackles, and he has no catches. But no, I listen. Indianapolis is a surprise, and they've hovered around 500 for the last couple of years. But it looks like a different mentality with them right now.
I know one thing.
And say what you want.
They are physical.
Well, they are physical. And to me, anytime you have Quentin Nelson on your team, that's like having Zach Martin on your team. Okay? And that physicality in this day, listen, physical football is always won. I think it prevails a little more even now because there are coaches who are, face it, they're always a little more finesse. Okay? There are teams in this league built around finesse. They're built around offense. They're built around throwing the football. Offensive lines need more time to develop now because in training camp, you don't get to whack the crap out of your teammate anymore during practice. Very protected. And I understand why, okay? But it's just interesting to watch Indianapolis in a division that, Houston's a little bit on the ropes right now. Let's be honest. Now they lose a divisional game after losing 2 interconference games. And although I will say the last 0-3 team to make the playoffs were the Texans in 2018, I'll just throw that out there. So, San Francisco, I'd say a little sewing thread and some Scotch tape. But a win is a win. And in that division, by the way, 3 weeks into the season, everyone in the NFC West is above 500.
Yeah. Russell, I want to stay with San Francisco there for a second because they brought back Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator after obviously his stint with the Jets. It seemed like after he left and then DeMeco Ryans left, the 49ers defense had eroded pretty seriously the last couple of years. How much of a difference do you think he's made in kind of scotch taping this thing together as they try and get healthy?
Well, you have a head coach, and in essence, head coach / offensive coordinator who's familiar with this defensive coordinator and the style that they like to play. And you mentioned it, Saleh, and then of course DeMeco Ryans and so on. And it's not been the same. Those guys went on to become head coaches. And, Robert Saleh, obviously a rough go of it. DeMeco Ryans, so far so good, but off to a rough start this year. But they're quality coaches. And not everybody's cut out to be a head coach. It's a different gig. I've heard people or read people saying that, a lot of coordinators don't make head coaches. I disagree with that. I think it just depends on what your role as the coordinator was. If you were an offensive coordinator in a certain system where you didn't call the plays, then, the team hiring you should do a little homework on that in that aspect. So, and, we have seen that. We have seen guys get head coaching jobs based on their title and not necessarily what they did. So, I go back, you go back to the days of like Mike Holmgren when he was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers for a couple of years. And then, he moves on and becomes a head coach. He was actively involved. It's a great Mike Holmgren story. If I recall, in 1988, the Niners won the Super Bowl by the skin of their teeth. Remember, at one time they were 6-5 that year. They were having back and forth with Montana and Young. Just a little disarray, to be honest with you, and then got hot in the playoffs. But Joe Montana didn't have a great year. And the story goes that Mike Holmgren went back and looked at every offensive play with Joe Montana and charted it and took out the plays that he felt Montana struggled with. He took them out of the playbook. And the following year, which I think has since been broken, Joe Montana had the greatest season in terms of power passer rating in NFL history up to that point. And I always make the case that of all the 59 Super Bowl teams, the 1989 Niners were the best of the 59.
You're not going to get a ton of pushback from my partner here, who is a Niners honk. I think the only discussion for the GOAT is the 94 team, too, so he's not biased at all.
Well, here's what I know. 126-20. How about 126-26?
That's pretty decisive.
Yeah.
Pretty decisive.
And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't it? For years, the 94 Niners owned the Super Bowl record for the worst regular season loss by an eventual Super Bowl champion.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
The Eagles the Eagles squeaked by them one day, 40-8.
Listen, happens to a lot of teams.
Again, I couched this, so I'm not that bright. My hot take, I don't know how hot it was. I took the Chargers to win the AFC West, and I said, you know what's weird about this is I've been on the Chargers bandwagon before. I thought they were going to be pretty good, and I said I'm probably going to be kicking myself because a pissed off Mahomes this season is probably going to drive me crazy as they will themselves to victory after victory. But it's early, and the Chargers may have the two best wins this season, depending on how you feel about the Broncos, and they've already beaten the Chiefs. Do you believe in the Chargers?
I do believe in the Chargers, and they're 3-0 and 3-0 in the division. Golden opportunity, and beating the Chiefs for the first time in 8 games. They had lost 7 in a row to Kansas City. That does a lot for confidence and momentum, and go on the road and handle the Raiders. Again, a road divisional game, but they've got themselves off to a nice start. Now they've got to continue to develop, and Justin Herbert looks like a different quarterback. I know he had a pick yesterday, but they led, they fell behind, and found a way to scratch one out. And it's what's really weird is right now they're the only team in the division with a winning record.
Yeah.
Now it's 3 weeks in. I understand all that. So obviously a lot can change. Ask the Steelers, who were 10-3, and all of a sudden Baltimore won the division. I mean, we see stuff like that a lot. Okay, hot starts, cold finishes, cold starts, hot finishes. People throwing out the 0-2 stat all weekend and going back to 1990, which is great because I had a nice year in 1990. But did anybody notice that? Anybody notice that 3 teams last year were 0-2 and made the playoffs? 3.
I did not.
The Ravens, the Rams, and the Broncos were all 0-2. And the Ravens and the Rams won division titles, and the Ravens and the Rams won playoff games.
Now they've got a fascinating one at home against the Lions. Again, I'm a Steelers fan. I never cheer for injuries, but 2 of the counterparts in that division have quarterback issues in Cleveland and Cincinnati. The Ravens arguably have the best roster in football. How important is this one, do you think, to reestablish who they think they are going forward for the Ravens?
Well, defensively, they didn't play that well, obviously. And their pass defense was next to last year. And I think Josh Allen wound up throwing for 395 yards. Okay. And last week, they didn't play that well offensively. Now you look and you go, 41 points. You know how many yards the Ravens had last week against Cleveland? 242.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll pat myself on the little back is that I picked the Browns to upset the Packers yesterday.
We're connected.
And then it's crazy. But go back and see. There's a team that they have a guy who's as hot and cold as anyone, Joe Flacco. In their first 2 games this year, I know that Browns lost. They gave up a total of 383 yards and lost both games. 383. I mean, it's usually a good 3 quarters for the Cowboys right now. But
go ahead, Russ.
It just shows you that this league is screwy. I mean, this league is screwy. The Rams are up big. Couple chances.
What a debacle.
Well,
goodness.
Now, you guys are old school, so you will remember the original longest yard when Burt Reynolds dropped back to pass and aimed the ball at, you know where.
Yeah.
Okay. And after they did it, remember what he said when he went back to the huddle. It worked once, it'll work again. Right. So the Eagles not only blocked 1 field goal, the Eagles blocked 2 field goals.
Yeah.
So
and got the miraculous cover, which crushed Vegas. It was unbelievable. Russell, what are we? I'm going to ask a quarterback question. What are we missing with how good Baker Mayfield is. Why do you think he still gets the yeah, but? That guy's been pretty good, and he's off to a heck of a start.
I think because he set a career high for touchdown passes last year, but he did throw his share of picks last year as well. And but that recklessness is part of what he is. I mean, he's like your classic 1960s, 1970s quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay? There's that element of Brett Favre. He is, he's not a big guy, so I don't think people call him a gunslinger. Okay? But in essence, that's what he is. Okay? And that confidence bodes well for him, and it bodes well for his teams. And he's a never-give-up guy. Listen, you've seen him on the field. He is a physical runner. Okay? He's the guy that more times than not on a 4th and 1, they give him the ball to get the first down. Now, he's had his problems holding on to it sometimes as well. And I think even with the big numbers last year, he and the team took a little bit of a hit by getting knocked off by the Commanders in the first round of the playoffs. So they looked like they had a lot of momentum going into that game, and they stubbed their toes at home. So I think that's why. But listen, he's the kind of guy you want in a football game, a pickup game. He's the guy. I mean, he's going to do his best. And listen, he hasn't had Chris Godwin basically. Mike Evans got dinged again yesterday. He got hurt for a little spell yesterday. He finds the ball. That is a great organization under Jason Light, the GM. Do you realize that the Bucks own the longest active playoff streak in the NFC?
Yeah.
5 years in a row. Longer than the Eagles.
Light's a Nebraska guy, so he gets a lot of spotlight. Let me ask you something, Russell, about quarterbacks again. If you were starting a franchise tomorrow, would you take Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love?
Based on what they've done in their careers?
Mm-hmm. Knowing what you know.
Knowing what you know, I would take Jalen Hurts. Because he's a bulldog.
He just can't get any respect for a guy that he's the only guy that's a victim of his supporting cast, right? It's like, oh, he plays with too many good players. Really? Okay, so we're gonna hold that against the guy. Yeah, it's just fascinating.
The narratives put up by some of our fellow media members are simply hysterical because their narratives change on whether they like somebody personal or not. And that's really it. Okay. And I'm sure some of them have to do with the fact that sometimes they don't cover or get enough points for them in their, some of the perspective is juvenile, to be honest with you. And in my mind, unprofessional. How can you look at what he does and look at them as a team? And a franchise that's been to the Super Bowl 3 times since 2017 with 2 different coaches and 2 different quarterbacks. He has played well in the postseason. He's done everything they want him to do. Here's what I don't understand. Why would you build a 53-man roster around one person?
Wow.
I've never understood that. Okay, this isn't Jimmy Connors versus Bjorn Borg. Okay? This isn't handball. This isn't bowling, which there is no defense. You have to. What are the Eagles really built on during this 3 Super Bowl run dating back to 2017? They're built in the trenches. They're built on the offensive lines and the defensive lines.
And deep, too.
Okay, I don't care. I mean, and what has been the knock? What was the knock on Patrick Mahomes last year when they lost the Super Bowl and lost the Super Bowl? Well, he doesn't have a good offensive line. Well, make up your mind. Do you want to have a good offensive line who can protect any quarterback, or do you want Patrick Mahomes to win your fantasy football league for you?
That's Russell Baxter, NFL historian and writer.
And kind of quietly, a nice little comedian, too. I like that. Maybe you might have missed your calling, Russell.
You can find him on Twitter at Bax Football Guru. Russell, we appreciate the time. As always, good stuff.
Listen, as I get older, I do a lot of dad jokes now. Did you hear that Did you hear that Tom Hanks opened up a flower shop?
I did not.
It's called Florist Gump.
Oh Lord. Listen. I'm not gonna lie to you, Russ. My heart skipped a beat when you brought up Tom Hanks. I was like, oh gosh.
All right. Well, I guess you're going to. I'm off here now. You're going to turn me into a castaway.
No. Appreciate it, Russell. Always good stuff.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
That is Russell Baxter, NFL historian and writer at Bax Football Guru.
Not where I thought that was going.
Me either.
Thank you, sweet baby Jesus.
There's lots of places you can still find his work on a day in, day out basis.
As a Raider fan, he gives me hope.
Do you remember my meltdown?
Especially with you guys talking about going 0-2 at the beginning of the year. I mean,
I had a
and I remember the meltdown too. Yeah,
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Statistically, I gave the whole spiel. Like he'd been as good as almost anybody in the league.
If you want to be good to our friends over at UNO, it's time to wear black and give back. The 6th annual Giving Day. 24 Hours of Giving kicks off October 8th at noon and lasts through October 9th. Last year, they got almost $1 million in donation to support students and programs at UNO. This year, they're searching for 6,500 individual gifts. Go to givingday.unomaha.edu, and if you give a gift over $75, you will get a free UNO belt bag. It's Wear Black, Give Back, UNO's Giving Day. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We asked fans to say something nice about each other. Let's see what everybody has to say.
I would say the one thing I like about Michigan is Taylor Lewan.
This place has been great. Everybody's really nice to us.
Nebraska has the nicest people. Go Big Red.
Well, I'm glad they beat Alabama a couple of years ago.
Just a volleyball school, and that's all there is to it.
Say something nice about Michigan? No, there's nothing really nice about Michigan.
Not even the lakes?
Never been there, so never plan on going, never will. If I had to say it, though, I would say Michigan. What is good about Michigan?
The reason that we came is because all of the Michigan fans who have ever been to Lincoln say this is the best place for away fans. And that's actually why we came. Everybody's really nice. They say, have a good game even though we're the opponent. So the Huskers have a great reputation in Ann Arbor, which is where we're from.
Today's Fan on the Street was brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook and Casino.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I mean, we take all the emotion out of it. This is when our brotherhood's tested, and our guys will fight back harder than ever, and we'll come back ready to go get ready for the next game and win. So, a lot of people think this might break us, but I'm just telling you right now, be careful. We're gonna come together and do something scary. Yeah, I mean, shoot, we were getting booed, so I mean, I love that. I mean, shoot, it sucks when your home crowds boos you, but. Once again, we appreciate them, everything they do, but, I mean, it's cool now, but you don't win the game, it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it, so it's what it is.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Takes got him. Frontside pressure comes. Lobs one up the seam. It's Barney. He's got it. Touchdown Huskers. 26 yards.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, it's always a good time of year. I know all you people because I'm one of the you people that just spends all your time looking at Zillow, looking at different houses, stuff like that. If you're actually looking at trying to buy a house, you got to go past the apps. You got to go to our friends at Centris Federal Credit Union. Go to centrisfcu.org. They've got programs and experts, regardless of your situation, to help you get into whether it's your first home, your next home, your dream home, whatever it is, they can help you out. Get connected with a Centris Mortgage expert today at centrisfcu.org. Terms and conditions apply, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. So I asked you a question during the break, and I'm not doing this this is not an indictment on anyone. I was genuinely curious because of how I process games, right?
Yeah, I think this is fascinating.
So I asked the question of how many people you thought rewatch a Nebraska game after they see it live, right? And what did you say?
I thought about it, and I boiled it down to a number I could divide.
Okay.
So I said 5%. And I got that from if 100 people watch the game, I bet 5 rewatch it.
And I think that's probably fair. I think it's certainly under 10. That was the number in my head was it's definitely got to be under 10. And here's the reason I bring that up.
Well,
It's go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you think people know what the rewatch is for?
So that's the other thing. Because I'll be honest, until I started doing this, I didn't rewatch games. I just watched it. I felt like I knew what happened. And then I started doing this job, and I was like, oh, I don't know what happened.
You're
right?
like, but I have a co-host that's going to hold me accountable.
That is going to kick my ass if I'm not on it.
No, just kidding.
Not like, but you know what I mean? Like, I will not be able to
I listen to people say things all the time that I don't think have any, that I don't think actually watched.
I literally, when we started
I think they peruse message boards. I think they look at social media, and I think they go by how the game initially made them feel.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't ask you how many people do what we do that I think rewatch the game, because I don't want to get into that.
I did like this. I'm going to let you say your piece. I did like the fact you're now getting inside Pro Football Focus, too, because it's just a metric, and sometimes you wonder how. Sometimes it's to the good of the grade. Sometimes it's to the bad.
I like to compare what I see versus what they say, and I will say when you go longer sample sizes, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Game by game, it can be a little wonky. But the reason I asked you that question is because I know how I process a game the first time that I watch it. And it is emotionally, right? I'm waiting to see what happens. I'm kind of living and dying with every play, every sack that comes in. I go, oh my God, our offensive line is the worst. Every time they bust a big run, I go, God, we're never going to stop anybody. Like, I'm a fan. I experience the game emotionally the first time I walk through. That's why it doesn't matter. I'll watch games here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill around people. I know you hate watching games with people.
In my defense.
Yeah.
I do ask how you can do that.
Yeah.
Because here, let me show you why.
Yeah.
Shane, that clip you just played, play my boo-boo. Play the highlight you just played. Listen to me. Start it again, Shane. I was talking.
Go ahead.
What'd you hear me say? Shane, one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, got him.
Shane, one more time. That's how I watch a game.
Yeah.
Because I could see pre-snap.
Yeah. Which Dylan said he checked into.
I could see what he saw.
Is that the guy that was over top of Barney went to go cover flat. They were trying to confuse him.
Yeah.
He went to go cover flat, and the guy that was on the outside receiver was supposed to get over the top.
Immediately, I was like, he can win.
Yeah.
And
Dylan got him into the right route.
So
whatever.
I should keep my mouth shut. But
no, I love that. I love that you're like, oh, we got him.
Because that's why. So I'm miffed at how you could do this over something you're invested in public.
Yeah.
Because even during a broadcast real time, I still try to watch it how I normally would, which is with rewind, pause, stop.
Yeah.
Like I do try to slow it down in my head the minute they break the huddle. Like, I'm always trying to figure it out.
And to be totally honest, live, I'm not capable of that. Even if I wanted,
I get it. I'm just telling you why we're so
for sure.
Yeah.
But so my point is, I can watch it here, or I can watch it by myself at the house, and I'm going to experience it the same way. I'm going to experience it as a fan.
I got you.
So I can watch it with other people. It doesn't matter. I'm going to experience it the same.
I got you.
So the reason I asked that question, though, is because and this is, again, not indictment on anybody. I'm not telling you have to rewatch the game. What I'm telling you is, like, if you experience the game at all like I do, which I think a lot of people do, is you're going to miss a lot the first time. A lot of times you're looking for just what's about to happen rather than how is it happening. That's why I have to watch it again, because I don't have the eye to know both at the same time. So I'll go back. Usually, this is how I process. I usually watch every Nebraska game 3 times before we get on the air on Monday. I watch it real time to see what happens. I watch it the second time to see if there's some trends I'm picking up. And then I watch the third time, usually exclusively for line play. Like, that's the third time. Who's winning at the line of scrimmage on a regular basis? And so the reason I bring that up is that's why I can sit here and say, hey, like, I think half of those sacks, yes, the tackles were.
I was surprised that's the first thing you said to me.
So the tackles were
Did you say good morning?
Maybe.
Good morning.
I don't think he did.
No, I think
this is what did you say?
I said, listen, I think half of those sacks were on Dylan because, yes, the tackles were getting beat, but especially on the 3-man rushes, when they're lined up out wide, he's got seams to step up, and he's got to do it. He has to. That's his responsibility, because I'll tell you what, I know people are freaking out about Donnie, and we'll have to get to this tomorrow probably. Guard, center, guard, they held up the whole game. They did. They absolutely did. My eyes told me, the PFF grades confirmed it. They held up the whole game. They had, and if you're not getting pressure middle as a quarterback, you have opportunities to do something about it. We're going to talk to Brandon Williams coming up next, Omaha native, former Michigan football player. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Live.
Obviously, a disappointing loss for us. One in which if we're smart about it, we can hopefully learn a lot about ourselves and about where we need to improve, where we're headed. Credit to them, they made the plays they needed to make. We certainly had our chances. We had to start off with a great drive, and they stopped us on 4th and short, and got the ball back with great position. Missed the field goal, and then battled back. Made it, as you guys know, made it even at halftime, and field was tilted against us in the second half. They made a long 56-yard field goal, which ended up being the difference in the game, and battle back. That last third, the third down was not the last one, but the second to last one. We had several chances to get off the field, 3rd and 16, I think 3rd and 14, whatever it was, 3rd and 15. Couldn't make the plays, and so long stretches of that game where we couldn't protect. And number one, I thought for them was magnificent. Barsham was he was a handful, and thought we settled down as it went on and protected better for a while. But still some key moments where it wasn't good enough. And then obviously the run game for them. 2 plays in the first half, but just too many big plays to win a football game like that. So we battled. Appreciate the effort of the guys, but wasn't good enough.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brandon Williams, Omaha native, Omaha Central grad, and he played football somewhere in the Big Ten. I'm not 100% sure. Don't think we need to bring that up right now. Brandon, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, fellas?
Good, B. Will.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you know, it's twofold. Number one, I think you're ridiculously smart. Number two, we've got your Central High Eagles this week, man. So you can come on and give them a little good karma if you'd like, but we'll get to that shortly.
Always.
Oh, I know.
Always.
I know how you guys literally flock together. So I said this on Thursday. I said it again on Friday. I think I feel about the same. I said Thursday, Michigan's a really good football team. Friday, I said, I think Michigan's a little bit better than we think they are. Today, I still think they're a good football team, like about what I thought. What do you say when you watch kind of their growth and how they're playing? Do you think at the end of the season we'll be saying this is a good football team?
Yes. So me and my son went to the Michigan-Oklahoma game down here in Norman.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw them up close. And I think what we saw last game was the longest leash the quarterback has had all year. Because the Oklahoma game, if you didn't know anything about Bryce Underwood and you just watched the Oklahoma game, you would think, he's a statue, one of those old school quarterbacks that can't move. And it was early in the year, it was almost as if there was a wall preventing him from running. He ran so little. And I think that's going to have to be a big part of his game. Now, the thing is, he can throw. He can throw. The comparisons that I've heard since he got there in the spring, and I heard these comparisons when he was in high school, because I got buddies that still live there. Everyone, and I'm not counting coaches, because I don't ask the coaching staff about him because they're going to give me coach talk. So I talk to people that go in there and go behind the wall, Fort Schembechler and see. Everyone compares him to Cam, but he has an arm. They say he has an elite, his arm has elite potential. So all year I've been waiting to see him run. So when he had that first touchdown, that's all I needed to see to be happy with what he is, because I've seen him make throws. And the way I kind of go after to judge a quarterback, I don't need to watch you just go 40 for 45 with your throws to figure, okay, this dude can throw. I just need to see a couple throws. If there's throws that you got in your tool belt, then I know you can do it. You just got to be, we got to put you in position to do it. And, everything has to be, called right and all that. But he's made throws. I've seen him push the ball downfield. I've seen him get the ball over the backers. I've seen him kind of hit the hole shots. And, my buddies, one of my groups, my buddy Tyrese was telling us, and he kind of pointed this out. I didn't realize the first game he passed it 31 times. So I think, for us, I think we will be better, and I think it's because of him. I think our defense will be a lot better when he gets to do more, because you know how the offense helps the defense. Against OU and all, our defense still looked good when they looked good, but just after a while, when there was, we, weren't converting on third down, that wears the defense out. So I think when he becomes, at minimum, this year, a freshman, an all freshman player, all the freshman, if he becomes that, then we're going to be very good.
Brandon,
because it's going to help us confidence wise too.
Yeah.
So I want to stick with Underwood there for just a second, because you were talking about his arm, and I don't think anybody disagrees with the arm talent. From what I've seen this year, though, like if I were Nebraska, I would have had a really hard time not just saying, hey, I'm going to make you beat us with throws down the field. That's an area he struggled
100%
with over the course of the year, was just 1 for 6 on throws over 10 yards against Nebraska. Like, are you surprised they didn't just say, hey, we're loading up against the run? Like, if you can beat our very good secondary down the field, you win.
100%. And because now I'm a DB at the core. So as a DB, there's only a few Pat Mahomes in the world. You know, you only got a few of them dudes. So the way I teach the DBs, especially in high school, you're not going to come across, most quarterbacks can't do everything. They can do it decent. They can do it good for where they're at. They can do better than others, but they can't do everything. So, I mean, you look at the NFL, Lamar Jackson's an amazing quarterback, great quarterback, best player in the league, voted by the players. But if I'm a DB, I would rather go against him than Mahomes because that ball's going to be just a little bit more off target, just a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, those little differences matter. So, yeah, I would have tested this. I would have tested what I just said. Like, we're going to see if he has an elite arm. That's definitely what I would have did, especially if I watched the Oklahoma game where on 3rd and 6, 3rd and medium, we had a couple 3rd and 4s maybe where we ran the ball. So if I'm going to figure they're that committed, yeah. And I think the corners will like that matchup. When you look, as a corner, I always will look at stats. I would look at stats and then I would look at the individual player. Okay, you may not have stats, but let me watch you go do your releases and stuff like that. As a corner, for the last 2 years, we haven't had big numbers at receiver. I would want that challenge. So, yeah, I definitely would have expected, and it's a freshman. At the end of the day, no matter what we say about him, he's a freshman. I want to make you prove that you're this generational talent before I just assume you are.
Well, let me ask, this question is twofold, and then I'm going to let you explain why you think it's this way. Nebraska ran 76 plays. You know what kind of offense they have. A lot of empty, a lot of spread, whatever. How many for a defensive guy? How many solo tackles do you think would be a good number for 76 offensive plays for against an offense like Nebraska's? How many solo tackles do you think Michigan should have? Solos.
If I'm a DB, so solo is tough because them boys swarm. Like, I got some texts the other day. Matter of fact, Lance texted me. He was like, man, Michigan look like wild dogs out here on defense. So we swarm. So I may hit him first, but DB and Ravi going to get there real quick and get in on that tackle too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
what would be a good number for you?
I'm a jump on the pile guy, Brandon.
I hear you. Hey, your name gets seen first.
That's right.
The stadium announcer and everybody going to say your name.
Rack up those half tackles, baby. Let's go.
Yep. I would say for a DB, and this, because a lot of my solo tackles would be off of catches, I would say probably like 8. You can give up, a couple catches and make the tackle right away. I would say 8, because 76 isn't. There's a lot more. Now teams are getting 100 or so plays, so 76 isn't a lot of plays.
Listen,
actually, in my opinion.
Do you know what Michigan had for solo tackles? 40. 40 solo tackles out of 76 snaps.
Okay, I was saying as a person, individual.
No, listen.
40.
Yeah, so
40.
Yeah. So
40 out of 76 plays were individual. Okay.
That's crazy. That's they're winning everywhere they get to they're winning one-on-ones.
DB. So I said this to somebody yesterday, and I was trying to go back and look before I got on the air. If you go look the last 2 times, I don't want to give no bulletin board material, but the last 2 times we played, and I said this in the game Saturday. I said, man, we hit the mess out of Nebraska when we played them.
Told you.
Like, when we hit, like, our hits look completely different. Like, number 6, man, they gave him a nickname. Now they call him the Hitman. I ain't know who. I never knew number 6 as a hitter.
So, oh my God, you didn't listen. So I know you haven't listened to any of the show. So this morning I said, we did a pregame on Saturday, and I said I got to give my pregame show partner a little credit because when I looked at Michigan, I looked at kind of this swarming secondary as a whole. He looked dead at me, B. Will, and he said, Have you seen Michigan safeties get down into the box? They come down with some bad intentions. During the game, I was just like, man, Michigan hits. And then you referenced him by name. Like, he brought serious drama whenever he arrived.
Man, he kept a hammer in his pocket. He was, I'm telling you. So go back
40 solo tackles it's silly. That is ridiculous.
That's Hillman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be able to get away from. You got to be able to beat a tackle. You got to be able to beat the one-on-one at some point as a skill player. And you know what?
You got to beat
Honestly,
one guy,
that's
right?
why
You got to beat one guy.
you got to. Somebody has to. You got to have one person that can do that. And that's why. And I almost. Even though the game was close, at no point did I feel like we didn't have control of it because of that. Because I always felt like it didn't feel like Nebraska had a puncher's chance.
And it's interesting too, because they had 8 more minutes time of possession almost. They ran 22 more plays. The stats didn't really fit the narrative, except for Michigan got guys to the ground when they had opportunities, and Nebraska had the 4 plays where they didn't.
Right. I mean, because Dylan got rid of the ball. Like, we was on, from the beginning, we were on Dylan's net. And I'll say, like, Dylan's a playmaker, man. Like, Dylan kept plays around alive. He got the ball out.
Yeah.
And, like, that's why I was telling my son, like, man, he's just, and even if he's getting into the check down, he's kept the play alive to where the check down is wide open. You know, so he was getting big runs off of him just, you know, because, and that's another reason why I went, because we had constant pressure. We were getting pressure with 4. We were getting pressure with the blitz.
You didn't even have to bring a ton of plus pressures. I was a little surprised by that.
I was too. You know, on TV, they you know, brought up how it was just the edges were, you know, soft on the edges. But Dylan had me worried because he had stats. He had 300-some yards passing. You know, and that was a legit 300. You know, but like you said, when he's getting people the ball, they're getting taken down by the first player, the first hit. And them was hits. Them wasn't tackles. Them was hits.
Yeah, that number surprised me because I kept trying to figure out, you know, I'm watching the game unfold real time. Then I rewatched it a couple of times. I'm like, how did it get like, I mean, we're basically drumming this down to 4 plays, and our fan base kind of gets upset with the schematics, right? It's like, oh, we're not doing this and we're not doing that, and it's too much pressure on this player. And I'm like, as an OC and a DC, the design is to get a free runner or a free defender. So at the end of the day, Michigan was winning those one-on-ones.
Those situations that were
like
crazy.
They were just winning the situations. That's why the stats don't add up to how the game the score.
Right. Because schematically and, you know, as far as execution, Nebraska's a good team. Nebraska's a good team. They were you know, I didn't expect it to be a cakewalk. You know, so for us, you know, we always got something going on with the Suckeye fans. So what they were saying is, oh man, for us, if we don't beat Nebraska by 70, it's a big deal. But Michigan beats Nebraska by anything, it's a big. Like, shut up. Like, Nebraska about beat y'all last year.
I was gonna say, ask him what the score was last year in Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's just them. And now the real word is a different word. I just can't say it on here.
Yeah. Well, we're podcasting, so you can, but you don't have to if you don't want to. It's okay. We got guys that say a lot worse on here. That's for sure.
So, but yeah, man, I think I think Dylan did a great job of keeping them in. The defense, you know, the defense last year did some good things. We're a hard running team. And I'm gonna tell you what it looked like. And you know, like Nebraska's better, getting better. Nebraska's. I was telling my buddy, like, man, like the whole will we or won't we go bowl? That's over. Like, they're going bowling.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a bowl team for sure. And who knows? You know what they pull off. You know, hey, you pull it off. You know, the way the playoffs work now, you know, anybody could get in with the right, you know, schedule or, you know.
Yeah.
So just do what you could do. But it felt like, to me, it felt like 2 teams with 2 different sets of goals. You know what I mean? And like, we out And just being honest, we trying to win the Natty. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what you think about us, what you feel about us, how good we're trying to win the Natty.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. And our road right now, everything is built to go after the Natty. You know what I'm saying? And everything, even the Oklahoma loss, when we were there, because the OU fans was like, it was funny because their fans were real high on Underwood, like after the game. And you could tell at the game, me and Lance were just talking about coaches and crowds and fans being scared, of an opponent, and the fans, the teams aren't. Their fans were scared. They were, we 2 years off the Natty, and that year we was beating the brakes off of people. You know what I mean? So we was a bully team, which I love. So, so they was kind of worried about that. And after the game, all they were saying was like, man, y'all's quarterback is amazing. Like, we're surprised y'all didn't use him more. And so to me, it felt like the OU game was kind of like a sacrifice, because now it don't matter getting to the playoffs. You can lose games and test stuff out. Like we had some healthy players, coming off an injury the last couple of weeks that didn't play, when they were healthy, they just, so it just seems, things are running different now with the whole new playoff scheme or the playoff layout and all that. But that's what the game felt like. I still felt like, we're a team that's kind of building stuff and trying to.
You felt like Nebraska's hoping and Michigan is knowing.
Yeah. Like I felt like Nebraska fans could have left that game feeling good. Like, man, we almost beat them. And if I'm Nebraska, I would have been high on Dylan. And then I'm a Dylan fan. I watch Dylan work out in the summers. He's down here, and people always get on him about the Mahomes thing. Like, they work out together, dude. So you telling me if as a young kid you're working out with the Michael Jordan of your era, you're not going to idolize that dude? I don't understand that. So people with that's get off of that. Yeah. I would idolize a $500 million man too if that's my boy. That's his boy. That's his boy. You know what I mean? So the people that are hating they wouldn't know Mahomes from nothing. But Dylan got his number. But I would be high on Dylan because Dylan, man, a Hail Mary, that has to do with the quarterback. The player made the play, but you got to pay attention to that stuff. I mean, so Dylan had a great game. His stats showed up. And, I mean, I would come out of that game looking at that. I mean, you still got one loss and you still got a schedule. You can still, rack up some more wins. You can get some good wins. And I think, last year they played with Ohio State. I don't know if y'all play them this year.
We don't play them this year.
Okay, you play Penn State?
Yeah, we're up there. And
so I went to Penn State.
Go ahead.
My son played against Penn State a couple weeks ago, so I went and watched them in person too. I don't see them as a national championship team because their offense. I think Nebraska's defense can give their offense fits.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense is legit, but their offense is not a national championship offense.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint. Ravi was cringing because he heard Wolverines. He's like, he's gonna log on to the Homer Network, and I'm like, nah, you keep it a buck.
Well, listen,
always keep it a buck.
I had a little hope because you're an Omaha guy, so I had a little hope in there. I had a little hope in my heart that you were gonna take care of it.
So good at this, man. You need to do this more, and part of it is probably on us.
Hey, man, I love Omaha more than Omaha loves me. I'll tell you that. I'm an Omaha guy, but Omaha don't claim me, man.
That's that whole going to Michigan thing.
Well, listen, I'll claim you because I'm an Omaha guy too, so I'll claim you.
And you're my guy, so I always appreciate you.
My man.
Appreciate it.
My man.
That's Brandon Williams, Omaha guy, first and foremost. Also happens to have gone to Michigan to play a little football.
Have a good one.
That's actually went to Michigan, play a little football.
That's from a Michigan alum
and fan. He kept saying us, like he's a fan. He's a Michigan fan, right? So, yeah, I think anybody's concerned about Dylan should not be concerned about Dylan. Like Dylan's good.
He said Nebraska should be encouraged.
Speaking of quarterbacks,
I'm still floored over that. I want you to go put that to paper. The 40 solo tackles.
No, it's I'm gonna be thinking about that for a minute.
That's the kind of stuff your boy digs up.
You know what? If you should be concerned about your quarterback,
what's that?
Let's do a real quick check in on DJ Lagway stats from this week. What'd he do? Let's see.
Wow.
12 for 23, 61 yards passing. Is that good?
Oh boy.
They're 1-3. How do you feel if you think Florida would trade DJ for Rhule straight up right now?
I'm done with you.
Okay. That's the show for today. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.